Don't be mistaken. I believe in peace won't be taken. I will not submit to authoritative man. I'm ready to die, but not for love. See the signs appear. It's gonna happen here.
This Ground with Alex Snicker, Danielle Alexandra, and Greg Bowen on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, the entire state of Arkansas, everybody over in Duluth, Montana, or wherever that is. I really don't know. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me, Duchess of Doing Stuff, my own personal Wikipedia, Tripoli's favorite libertarian, Danielle Alexandre. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, but you're not very enthusiastic today with the intro. It's like, oh yeah, and then there's this chick.
Hey, is it
She's
November?
next
Is it
to me.
November yet, man?
I know. I'm telling you.
Are you kidding me? Are you
It
kidding
is.
me?
I cannot wait. It's like 12 more days, and it is 12 days that need to go quickly.
You ain't kidding, man. I mean, I'm tired, man. I'm tired, man. You know, I don't even think I was this tired like when I ran. You know what I'm saying? Like
I don't think
piss
your
off.
schedule was intense when you ran.
Well, no, it was not this
not
intense.
really intense.
You know, and I quit my job at a certain point. You know what I'm saying?
And that helped a lot.
Yeah, it did. Boy, you ain't kidding.
Yeah, but no, so it's been a few weeks of long, hard campaigning days and very, very late nights and very, very early mornings.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
it,
Alex is still waking up.
I'm still trying to wake up here,
it's
man.
still, and it does not stop until November 5th.
No.
I'm telling you what, though. Boy, I'm happy. I'll be happy. I don't care either way at this point, man. I just want to be able to go home. I just want to be able to stay at home, man. Can you help me out, man, please?
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Exactly. It's my day off, man. What are you doing? Hopefully everybody's having a good day. Oh, let me get back to
You have to
I'm
introduce
sorry.
this guy over here.
Also, Prime Minister of the Sinister, which does not have elections in November, so it's a nice place to be. Greg Bowen, how are you doing, sir?
Spectacular. More awake than you are. That's
You
for sure.
ain't kidding. You ain't even kidding. I don't even know what we're going to talk about today, so let's...
All right. Well, we were in Lake City last night, so we got in. It's kind of nice to be, winding, like, in the last few days of the campaign and to visit the place where the campaign started.
Like the first place that Adrian went to
Yeah.
speak at?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like we were the campaign was official on January 10th of 2013, and on that same day when we found out on the way to Lake City that we were officially a candidate, that he, all his paperwork had been approved, he was an official candidate, and he spoke to the Lake City Tea Party, and the Tea Party in Lake City, they have a different name, but it's the same thing, But so he spoke there for the very first campaign event on the day that he was an official candidate, and it was great. And then last night we got to go back there. And he's been back there a few times over the last, couple, 22 months. But it was just kind of nice to see people have been excited. They've been, following it the whole time and that. And so it was nice, but it's a very long drive.
Well, it is a long drive. I'm not going to say it's not a long drive, so I can't disagree there. It's not as long as other drives. Like, for a weeknight one, it's probably the longest drive, though. Like, for a weeknight one, like, it ain't Miami,
Right.
And it's a straight shot, like, it's 75 south for a long time, and then, they're right off the interstate. I mean, we're like 40 minutes off the interstate, but it was a good time, though.
But it's like, 10 or 15 miles from Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's a little longer from Georgia than that, but you're right.
On these long drives, are you starting to think that maybe splitting Florida into two states is a good idea?
You know what, dude? I'm all for it, actually. The only a little bit is I seen the breakdown of it, though. Like, why does South Florida get, like, Pinellas and Hillsborough, though?
They should not.
No, yeah, South Florida gets like all the cool parts of Florida.
Get that. It should be, like, the I-4 corridor should be in North Florida, and then we'll go south from there.
Yeah.
So I don't like the way that they're breaking it down, to be honest with you. So I'd have to vote against it just for the, you know what I mean? I'd have to. They got to change that up a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely think that Pasco, and Pinellas, and Hillsborough have to stay together, and our governments and just our way of life is very intertwined with those counties. So I definitely think that those would have to stay together. But I think Florida is so big we could really be in thirds.
Sorry.
So we could actually 3 states.
Possibly. I still think it's just a bad idea and poorly thought out, just like the California thing.
Well, yeah.
Because nobody's still considering the fact that the federal government still has to allow that other state into the union.
Right.
And are you going to trust the government right now to move their feet on that? How long are you going to be an independent nation until you get accepted as a state?
Well,
Hopefully a long time.
How long has it been since Puerto Rico approved being a state? I think it's been 5 or 6 years.
They never have.
Yeah,
Well, they voted on it many times, and they've continually
it was
voted.
54%. The last vote was 54% in favor. I was just reading it the other day. I was like, hey, why are we not making them a state then?
Well, I know they were having another vote on it
No, I think
last
they voted.
year.
I think Puerto Rico voted against it.
Yeah, they've continually voted against it. I have a couple friends from Puerto Rico, and I talk with them about this all the time. I mean, the prevailing opinion of Puerto Rico is, well, we get all the benefits without the negatives of being a state. Why would we do that?
Yeah. I think that I really do believe that's the way they vote.
54% in 2011 to make them a state in a non-binding referendum.
Well, yeah,
Well, non-binding. If I vote. You vote for ham sandwich in a non-binding referendum.
But it was 54% in favor.
All right. Well, that's more than I thought. So there you go, America, Puerto Rico. So
Now, did you see there was another White House fence jumper?
don't be racist. Why are you racist about this stuff? Calling people fence jumpers. That ain't
I don't know if we're just hearing about it more or if more people are trying to storm the White House.
No, I think you are just hearing about it more now.
You think people have always been climbing the fence?
Well, maybe, but I try to avoid any of those racial discussions.
Well, I mean, the toddler going through making headlines, I think, was a little excessive.
Well, that little toddler. Hey, you know what? That diaper.
I mean, the TSA certainly thinks diapers are a problem. They're
Hey, you can
searching
fit
them all.
You can fit a grenade
Yeah.
in there, man.
But there was another person who actually climbed the fence over at the White House, and now the father has come out to talk about this and said that this is another case of mental illness. Although he has been the person who did go over the fence has been diagnosed with schizophrenia and paranoia. Although his paranoia was that he felt that cameras were watching him everywhere.
Well, that ain't paranoia, man. That's just going on.
That's what I said. I'm like, well, no, that's actually true. I hope that wasn't used to say he's paranoid. But yeah, that was his big thing. Was he felt that cameras were watching him all over the place, and that he was constantly being followed by these cameras, where they could see him in every part of his life, and he was just not taking it well, and he was going to talk to the president, and since they wouldn't let him in, he climbed over the fence.
They wouldn't schedule my meeting.
Could you imagine if that happened to like sitting Congress people? Like Boehner wants to talk to the president. The president says no. Boehner says, I'm jumping the fence anyway, guy.
Yeah,
What are you
I'm
gonna-
coming over
What are you
there.
gonna do? Then he'd cry because he got arrested. It'd be a whole thing. I'm glad he doesn't, because I don't want to really see him cry.
They actually released the dogs on him, so he actually was taken down by two police canines, and then now he's charged with resisting arrest from the canines.
Because he tried to keep them from biting him?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, you got to let the dog bite you. I mean, come on, guy. Don't you know that?
But the father, he said his son was diagnosed with paranoia and complained about cameras everywhere.
I mean, again, that's not really not paranoia, though. I don't even understand that, because the cameras are everywhere.
He's not paranoid. He's observant.
Right.
That's right. point, by the way, Greg. Very good point.
I mean, now where he takes it from there might be paranoia. What are they doing with these cameras? Who's got access to them?
aliens?
Yeah, I mean, depending on what his theory was as to where the camera.
I mean, it's just the lizard people. So
I actually think I would only be able to diagnose him with a mental disorder if he thought aliens were using the cameras. Because anyone else looking through the cameras, I actually think is quite plausible.
Yeah.
yeah, I'll go with that.
I question who's watching us on the cameras all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A street light a block from my house in a nice little suburban neighborhood has cameras on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, cameras are watching the place.
I'm wondering who's watching me on that camera.
I've taken, because it is one of those facial recognition cameras all over my city, I've taken to giving them the one finger salute as I go through intersections.
Yeah, I've been doing that a lot too.
I have a feeling they have a lot of those pictures coming through the camera.
Yeah.
No, I think they got a lot of them too. Not just from us either.
No, I think there's a lot of those pictures coming through the cameras as people drive by and they're like, oh, there's another one that's onto us.
Yeah. Is he already on the list? Yep, he's already on the list. It's okay. We're already watching him.
So I definitely think there's a lot of that going on. There's a lot of, I mean, we've been talking about Ebola a lot. We've been talking about kind of so many of these things that it just seemed to be stories that are just not leaving the news, which I guess Ebola is a very serious condition and things like that. And they just found someone in New York that had Ebola, and I guess like he went to the movies and rode the subway. So all of New York is in a panic.
Well,
but you can't look for news without that being like the only story around. So
Yeah.
I actually have the oddest things to talk about today because I did not pull any of that.
I would like to bring one thing up right now.
Okay.
You know, I don't know how exactly I feel about crystal meth actually being a toy or an accessory.
yes.
But man, I understand that there is you can make a lot of action figures based off of certain shows. I don't know where in the world Breaking Bad fits into the realm of let's make an action figure for it, but I guess it has. But it is funny that if you are going to make an action figure of that one, then one of the accessories does have to be some crystal meth.
Yeah.
So they actually put this stuff out in Toys R Us, mind you. Now, again, look, Toys R Us is free to have whatever toy that they want to have. I'm not going to complain that Toys R Us puts out the Breaking Bad toy. But really, though, do we really want our kids playing with an accessory that's a bag of crystal meth?
I can tell you what's not going to be under our Christmas tree tonight.
Oh, I'm buying
this
that
year.
one. I'm
No,
buying
we're
that.
not buying.
I'm buying that.
Listen, you can buy and put it in the closet, but the kids aren't playing with that.
I'm making. Oh no, I'm buying. Like I'm gonna buy the. They're making a refill thing for the crystal meth. So I'm gonna buy the crystal meth refiller packs too.
No, that's getting vetoed.
It's not made for children. It's made by a toy company.
Right.
So, of course, Toys R Us is going to carry it because it's made by a company that makes plenty of other things that Toys R Us carries. And I doubt that the person who said, the purchaser for Toys R Us realized that there were little bags of crystal meth in these action figures. They got the PO and, Breaking Bad action figures along with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joe. And, yeah, let's buy 1,000 cases. I mean, but they're not made for children. Right. They're made for collectors. They're made for fans of Breaking Bad. Quite frankly, that's what they're for. They're made for fans of Breaking Bad. If your children are fans of Breaking Bad, then maybe they're interested in this toy.
And you're a bad parent, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and that's on you that your children are watching Breaking Bad. Quite frankly, if your children are not fans of Breaking Bad, it's not like they're going to be asking you for Breaking Bad action figures for Christmas. They're probably asking for Legos and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But here's the
Minecraft.
thing. Wait a minute. Yeah, Minecraft. Oh, my gosh. Minecraft Legos are coming out. That's going to be a whole thing. Our house is going to be full. So,
Wouldn't you think Legos are already kind of like Minecraft?
They are. Really.
like, the boys have been making Minecraft Legos the whole time out of the regular Legos, but now that Minecraft and Lego have combined to actually have the sets. Now they have to have those because it's not cool enough to just make your own little blocks out of the blocks
Right.
and pretend it's Minecraft. But there's a lot of kids that are going through the store, like how many times has your son wanted to go to Toys R Us and just look around and thing that they want? Sometimes they see these toys on the shelves, they don't know what Breaking Bad is, but hey, that looks cool, he looks mean or whatever. And they're pointing out and wanting a toy, not because they're a fan of the show, but because they're walking around a store made for children, seeing a toy not made for children.
Mm-hmm.
Look, and at the end of the day, though, I mean, look, the kid's not going to know what the vial of crystal meth looks like. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, that's crystal meth. And little kids aren't going to do that. It's just funny that there are action figures that are not sold at. They're only sold at like comic book shops and places like that.
And that's where they should have been.
This probably fits the category of that, but at the same time, it's just funny as all get out that they made the action figure. Like, somebody had to sit there and go, you know what really works with that guy? We need to make an accessory that's crystal meth.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody else had to go, you know what, Jim? That's a great idea.
Well,
and they had to actually produce it.
Well, it's like when you're making a G.I. Joe action figure. I mean, he's got to have a gun.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah, the Breaking Bad action figure comes with crystal meth, but the G.I. Joes all come with guns.
But I think I find it okay for my kids to understand that people use a weapon, they use it to protect themselves, they use it to protect others, than to say people use crystal meth.
Isn't it still reality?
It is definitely reality.
I mean, quite frankly, it kind of forces you to have that conversation with them about drugs, and then, maybe you didn't want to have that conversation, but somebody's going to.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's better.
It
now
kind of forces you.
Yeah, now you kind of have to have that conversation with them, and you can have it on your terms.
Breaking Bad is the drug gateway conversation.
There you go.
Now, Aaron Paul, he's the one of the actors that is part of Breaking Bad, the one that actually had the crystal meth. He took to Twitter. He talked about Twitter, but he was basically saying that if they're going to allow Barbie dolls there, then they should have crystal meth or the crystal meth doll because that's a bad influence. Barbie's a bad influence, like on girls and stuff. But you could actually make the case that he's at a point there.
I don't know if it's on the same caliber as crystal meth bad influence, but I can understand a small point there.
Yeah. So it was, he's not taking this lying down, mind you, just for the record. Not that he's on crystal meth right now, but he's just not taking it lying down.
Well, if he's on crystal meth, he's certainly not lying down.
Well, that's a very good point, by the way. So sorry, I totally went down the first subject. You guys.
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling you, I did show prep last night, and like if you weren't talking about Ebola or like elections in all states, then you had nothing. And honestly, the elections in other states weren't very interesting.
All right. Look, here's the thing, too. I want to get to this story.
We're going to do that in the third hour.
You want to do that in the third? I don't know for sure if I even want to do it in the third hour, though.
Really?
He wants to do it now.
Not that I want to wait to now, but I don't want to. Look. I don't know. You want to wait till that third hour on this one?
I do.
All right, we're going to wait to third hour on a certain story. How about the Fox News host tells young women not to vote? Go back to Tinder and Match.com.
Yeah, so on Fox News, and Fox News is one of the biggest, they are the number one news station. If you're going to watch all,
They get the most viewers.
Yeah,
Let's not call them number one. Let's just say they get the most viewers.
I don't know if what we can call. Well, I was going to say we're using the term news rather loosely more than that. But they have the largest market share in what's considered the news industry.
Yeah. Not that any of the other ones are any better, by the way.
No, but and what this Fox News host said is basically that young girls should stay home and not vote, that they are uninformed of what's going on, and because of that, they should just leave it to the older women, and the younger women should just stay home and not vote, and stay on sites like Tinder or Match.com. Basically, go find yourself a man and, leave it to the big girls.
Wow.
It was horrible.
I think it's interesting that it was a woman who said that, so you can't really blame it on chauvinism unless you want to try and connect it to some ingrained chauvinism in this woman. I don't know. It's weird. Definitely.
Well, here's the thing. She's talking about how they can't cast an informed vote. So if being informed is somehow like the standard that we're going to use, I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of this show recently, but I have seen some of the show, and this chick shouldn't vote then. If
Yeah.
she's using her own standard, because she's one of the more of the uninformed people in the country when it comes to issues that make a lick of difference. Guilfoyle, you don't know what the hell you're even talking about. There's probably some young women that know way more than you do and that actually have an understanding of this country or of comedy or of being able to work through racism than you're at.
Yeah.
Well, and this is, and she alluded to her actual point without really saying it outright. But she says, with age comes wisdom, and then she went on to, say some other things, and then she said, the older you get, the more conservative you tend to get. What she's saying is, don't vote in these elections because we want Republicans to win, and you're not going to vote Republican.
Yeah, she's just towing the party line. They did, I guess there was an update, so she addressed the previous comments. So she said, I made a joke at the end that saying, yeah, if I wanted to thank and excuse someone from jury duty, that is the language you use in the courtroom. They want to go back and do social media, dating websites, fine. Nothing voting. I take the right to vote very seriously. I take the right to serve on a jury very seriously. And I think that you should be informed when you do both things. I think you should be informed when you go and vote, but I wouldn't tell you not to. My point is that you've been given a powerful blessing in life in this country to be able to vote and to be able to sit on a jury. So come equipped, come prepared, because you don't want to dilute the votes out there because you are uninformed and you're spoon-fed something that's inaccurate by listening to Fox News, or that you don't even bother to equip yourself with the facts. Anybody out there, this goes for everyone. So she backed off her comments. She realized how stupid she sounded, and then she put out some stuff that made her sound equally as dumb. So again, though, I don't watch the show. I've only watched it a couple times. I used to watch it like every once in a while when it was on, but these guys have just irked me so much, and they've been so disgusting. It's not even worth even listening to it anymore.
I believe if you're watching Fox News, you are in that category of uninformed and shouldn't vote.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I think that you can watch. I think you can watch it and not be in that category necessarily. If you are watching to like almost, sometimes you're going to watch things like Fox News, or you're going to watch MSNBC, or you're going to watch some of these other things, because you kind of want to get where they're at right now, like what is going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
But you may not know the right. Even with a bad show, you can kind of read in between the lines for stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And some things are like canaries in the mine shaft. Like, you want to know what they're talking about because it's like a canary in the mine shaft. You know what's coming up.
If you're watching Fox News and you're not outraged and angry, you shouldn't vote.
Yeah. And
I would never tell anybody they couldn't. Go ahead.
Well, no, and I wouldn't either.
Well, see, that's
What did you say?
the greater point. I don't necessarily disagree that if you're uninformed and don't know what's going on, that you shouldn't be voting, and that holds true for young women and old men. If you don't know what's going on and you're just going to be casting a vote for who you're told to vote for, then I don't necessarily think you should be voting. I think there are a lot of reasons that you shouldn't be voting, and being uninformed is one of them. I'm not going to take away people's right to vote or say that you're not allowed to vote or any of that. But I do think that if you don't know what's going on and you're not aware of the issues and you're not informed, then you're probably doing more harm than good by voting, because you are perpetuating the system that we have, which is not good.
Yeah.
There are reasons to argue for not voting. For one, it encourages them.
Well, you don't tell me not to vote. I'm going to vote.
Now, you give them a vote, that encourages what they're doing, and I don't agree with that.
Now, did you guys see, because that there was like a huge fight with the Palins?
Oh, yeah.
I heard about this
Weeks ago.
Boy, what do we eat online?
You brought up the Breaking Bad action figures.
That's true.
Don't
Right.
be giving
That's
her
true.
crap
We just
for bringing
talked
up.
about-
I'm yelling at myself. I'm yelling at myself.
I mean,
I'm
at
yelling
least
at myself.
at least Palin is a politician or was a politician.
And-
Well, no,
I mean,
it wasn't
when
the
we're
mom.
ta-
It was the
well-
daughter.
Well, she was there though.
No, it was 20 different people in the Palin family that got into this fight.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on up in Alaska?
Yeah, there was a huge family incident where like 20 people were involved. The police were called and all this other stuff. And listen, it became a big story in the news a couple weeks ago and then it died down. And in, true Palin fashion, whenever a story dies, they need to re-bring it up so that they keep themselves relevant in the spotlight. So Bristol Palin has actually just come out and started talking about it within the last couple days, even though the fight and the news stories have actually already ended several weeks ago.
Well, it's because they're trying to deny their participation, and then here's the thing: this is the modern world. If you do something stupid, you better own up to it because somebody's probably got cell phone video of it. And that's the case. They tried to deny that they were even there or participated in it. And then people started going, oh, yeah, well, it's on my iPhone, and started putting it on the internet. And yeah, you were there and you participated. So now you're a liar as well as stupid. So now she needs to cover her tracks.
Right. And going on the, I'm a girl and I was pushed in this altercation and you guys are sensationalizing it and that wasn't right. I didn't watch the video, but I have seen accounts of like some of the video, and they're like, you guys were right in it. Mm-hmm. Like you got yourself into an altercation, and 20 people ended up fighting, and you were one of them.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I mean, myself, I have been punched in the face on many occasions. Sometimes I have chosen to engage in a fight afterwards. Sometimes I have walked away. You make that choice as to what you're going to do. So just because you got pushed, that doesn't mean that you're justified in you and your entire family getting involved in a fight.
Right.
Like they're from West Virginia.
It's an insult to West Virginians, I think.
Well, I actually think you have a lot more of this in Alaska than is publicly known. The only reason you're getting this one is because of it's the Palins that are doing it. But I think there's a certain grouping of people that move to each kind of state. And I think Alaska has its grouping of people because, it's basically, out in the middle of nowhere. It's really cold. Not a lot of people live there. So you get a certain, people that really want to be left alone and people that want to act the way they want to act. And, the Palins were part of that. I mean, the husband was, one of the secessionist guys or whatever. And personally, I don't like these people. I really don't like the Palins. And I don't like them at all. The reason why is... See, how can I say it this way? I'm not a fan of people that... It's like a train wreck. And they always go to her like she has an opinion that matters a whole lot.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I do think that there's a lot of people that like her. A lot of people that do listen to what she has to say. But if you quit your job, and again, I know the pressure is immense on these kinds of things, but if you quit your job and you're not really, like you do a reality show and then you do all this other stuff, you've marginalized yourself at this point.
Yeah.
Like nobody else did that to you. And then to go out and everybody gets in a damn bar fight. And again, it's just like, I don't go out and personally attack these people, really. I mean, I'm talking about them right now. But other than that, you never hear me discuss
I could
Sarah
care less about
Palin.
the
Or
Palin.
I don't care. I really don't care. At the end of the day, I'm trying to fix the country. I understand she doesn't want to do it at all. I mean, she wants to just increase her own personal stardom, her own personal whatever, her own personal wealth because she decided to quit. I think more for the money that she was going to be able to make outside of it than anything else.
Right.
So I almost don't even want to give him any time. But there's a lot of people that love him to death, man. There's a lot of people there's probably people listening right now that turned this show off because I just said what I said.
Yeah. Well,
I think the last time we talked about Sarah Palin was during the RNC when that Sarah Palin lookalike was coming.
Oh, yeah.
those same people who would do that are the same people who were outraged that people were talking about Bristol Palin and you shouldn't be talking about her. She shouldn't be in the media. Well, then she shouldn't be doing a media tour. I'm sorry that she was on the Today Show and Good Morning America and Fox News doing interviews, but if she didn't want to be in the public conversation, she should have kept herself out of it.
Because Sarah Palin has more children than Bristol. She's not the only child. She's the only child that comes out onto every media outlet all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
She put herself out there.
Well, the only thing I will say about that is this, though. Hang on, let me and I can't believe I'm going to defend him. I think that she was drug in, and then by being drug in, said, "Well, if I'm going to be drug into the media, I might as well try to do something with it." And I think that has more to do with it than anything else. Again, just my opinion, though. You're free to believe what you want. I'm just thinking of the history of, like, I remember the things how they went down, and I do remember they really drug her into it first.
And just like the fight, she made the decision to get involved. You know, she got pushed and decided to fight. Somebody brought her name up in the media. She decided to get involved. It's only going to there.
There's a point there. There's definitely a point there, Greg.
I mean, just the same with Obama and his children. You know, there are people who make stories about Sasha and Malia. And they choose not to get involved in those conversations.
Yeah, I try not to remember their names. I don't actually like you talking about their names on the
Well,
we don't make up stories about them.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, we don't bring them in, and I'm only bringing them in.
Oh, I know
for
some
this
stuff
example.
about them too. I just won't say it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know anything about them.
They're girls.
Yeah, they're girls. I don't really particularly care. Honestly, I'm that person that there's certain people where I don't just hate the person. Like, I hate their whole family. I ain't going to say it, like, loud on the air and stuff, but I hate their whole family. Everybody that is related to them. And Obama actually is in that category. Like, I don't like him.
Like, you have so much hatred to him, it had to roll over into all of the other family members.
It's the whole family.
Right, I see.
Like, it's like Karl Rove. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate Karl Rove and his entire family.
John
You know what I'm
McCain.
saying? I definitely hate John McCain's entire family. Except for the first wife. I don't think she has anything to do with it. But those people, I don't like anybody that they've, I don't like any of them, And John McCain would definitely be in that mix. Romney, you know what? I almost can't even put Romney in the mix. Like, I would.
Like,
the only problem is that, like... Like, I can't hate all those kids at one time. I don't want to blanketly wholesale have that kind of hatred. I feel like I got a hatred quota, and I think I'd max my hatred quota out if Romney and his entire family.
Like, do you hate McCain enough to where, like, if someone said, "Hey, let me use your pen," you now hate that person?
Let me use your pen. What do you mean? I don't know. Say that again.
Like, McCain's sitting down. Someone's going, "Oh man, can I use your pen, John?" And he borrows the pen. Do you hate that guy?
Did he give the pen back?
Yes.
Did he say thank you?
Probably.
I don't know. I'd have to talk to that person. Just
I wouldn't hate that person, but if I went to borrow a pen and they handed me a pen with John McCain's name on it, I would hate them.
Yeah. Look, you want to know how bad it is with some of these people? If on Facebook, if I see somebody that posted a positive John McCain story and they were my friend, I actually remove them.
And block them.
You wouldn't just unfriend them; you would block them.
Oh yeah.
I don't do as much blocking on it now, but you're definitely gone. If you have anything nice to say about Levin, that's another one. If you have anything nice to say about Levin, you're done. And if you have anything nice to say about Obama, you're done. Like, I'm equal opportunity, by the way. One side or the other. I'm equal opportunity. I don't even want to see it. Like, I don't even want to look. I look at Facebook as a thing. I don't look at Facebook as a way to proselytize. I look at Facebook as a way to find people that agree with you and talk to them. Because proselytizing should be done face to face, not on Facebook. So I believe that, and I think it's a time waster too many times to get in these arguments with stupid people. Because there's a lot of them out there, man. There's just tons of them. But when it comes, how do we get here from the Palin thing?
I have no idea.
See what bringing up the Palins does?
Well, we
See what
don't
bringing
do
up
it
does?
often.
Hey, I got no.
Well, it exposed that you got a lot of hate in your heart, Alex. And
let it out, man. Let your hate out, man. It's a beautiful thing.
let the hate flow through you.
You know what? These people are the ones responsible for the shape we're in right now. I don't know how you don't hate them. Like, I don't even understand. Like with McCain, look, this guy's the devil incarnate, for Pete's sake. I mean, this guy makes songs about bombing other countries, and when he's campaigning for president, and then wonders why he didn't win. You know, bomb, 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 Iran. Mm-hmm. Like, look, if you're doing a Beach Boys parody, go with it. Don't be running for president, though.
Right, you're not Weird Al.
Yeah. 2 words for you there, McCain. Keating 5. You know, you've been an evil SOB for a long, long time, guy.
And see, I can get on board with hating John McCain for what he has done. I don't agree with hating his whole of it.
You ever seen the rest of the family?
No.
I mean, there's enough reasons to hate them.
I mean, only when he drags them out for campaign purposes.
Oh, then okay. Well, then maybe it's just the stuff I read though, because Meghan McCain that's John McCain's daughter.
Yeah, I've seen some what's going on.
Dirty little moderate. So,
I don't hate people because I disagree with them. For doing morally bankrupt, evil stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
Which McCain has done, so I can feel okay with hating him. Meghan McCain, I don't agree with her, so I don't necessarily hate her. I don't like her. I'm not gonna stand up for her, but I don't hate her.
It sounds like you're standing up for her now. I'm just kidding. All right, let's move on. This is going nowhere fast. Where are we going to?
I don't have anything much better.
Where are we going to next, babe?
Now, we didn't get one here, although we don't have a home phone or anything. Greg, did you get a call at 3 o'clock in the morning?
I did not, because we got rid of our landline as well.
Okay.
There you go.
So you were from the assault by, and now Kathleen Peters says it wasn't her, but it was a call in favor of Kathleen Peters that hit like several counties worth of voters at 3 in the morning.
Wow.
Well, that sucks. Who the heck did that?
Now it does say
I hate them. That's for sure.
Support her in her fight for Congress.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like,
she's not running for Congress.
That's what she said. But I'm not running for Congress.
Was this like a company that she did business with before and?
Maybe, and their system just had a glitch, but her district is completely contained in Pinellas. Even when she was running for Congress, her district was completely contained in Pinellas, and it was like people even in Sarasota were getting these calls at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what did they find out what company it was?
No, I don't see that. I mean, they may have found out since then. But people are reporting that, like, at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, they were being woken up by their phone ringing, and it would be like, Kathleen is the right candidate to represent Pinellas County in Washington.
Wow. Oh, come on. Like, seriously, whatever company that is an assault on people.
Now, she's saying
that's a violation.
It's dirty, underhanded tricks by, someone who doesn't like her. Happen to think that she probably had something recorded with a company when she was running for Congress, and they had a computer glitch, and it went out at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. What is she running against someone else?
For the state house seat?
Yeah.
I believe she is. I think there's...
Oh, she has competition? Could have been her competition. I mean, maybe. I don't know. That's a weird one. Like, there's dirty tricks and stuff, but... That's a weird, dirty trick. Though.
That just seems a lot like a mistake and incompetence, not a dirty trick and intentional.
Why would you call other counties if you were just trying to,
Yeah,
Yeah, how did that get into the system like that? I don't know. That's just a weird deal, man. Speaking of campaigns and commercials that the candidates didn't run, though, did you hear about North Carolina?
No. Oh, well, yes, I did, now that you...
All right.
That's a broad question. Did you hear about North Carolina?
Sean Haw.
It's just north of South Carolina.
Sean Haw.
I've heard it exists.
You know Sean Haw, right?
Yes.
Okay. The Koch brothers are one of their organizations. This is great, by the way. The Koch brothers, one of their organizations, spent $250,000 on commercials that were targeted at Democrats, telling them to vote for Sean Haw because he's pro-weed and pro-weed and anti-war. And they were very stereotypical, like incorrectly stereotypical, but very against libertarians, basically saying it. You know, if you want weed legal, vote for Sean Haw. You know what I mean? If you want, they took basically what and completely, because Sean Haw doesn't really talk too much about the weed. Like, he doesn't talk about it. He doesn't discuss the war on drugs, but he doesn't, it's not a primary focus for him. Being anti-war, though, is a huge focus for him. That's his whole focus. So they spent $250,000 to get ads run for Sean Haw, I mean, basically on Sean Haw's behalf, and to target it to, it's basically to target it to Democrats, and also to try to bring back Republicans, because if you go out there and talk like that, then normally Republicans wouldn't agree with and support you. That's what the Koch brothers did with the ads. I mean, I don't know how there's a way that you can show that these guys are so against actual libertarianism,
Right.
that it ain't even funny. Like, they've backed candidates against libertarians.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They've done it in multiple places. Now they're running dark money ads against libertarians. Running ads, $250,000 worth of ads, saying to vote for the guy, but they're doing it now.
It's a parody, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm actually of two minds of this. One mind of it is, I really don't like that they did that. The other one is, there's probably people that are pro-marijuana that actually went to go look Sean Haw up and might have saw the rest. Like, this might have an unintended consequence here, and Sean Haw might get more votes because of this. $250,000 worth of dark money going by you.
Yeah.
Like, how many votes does that get you? We're about to find out. At least on election day, we'll find out. But these guys are, and what AFP did in Florida for Rick Scott, I mean, just disgusting. Just really outwardly disgusting. But money, one of the first times I've ever heard that ever happened for a libertarian, though.
Yeah. Well, and I always think it's because the last couple weeks on the Wiley for Governor social media and stuff, where definitely people are starting to take notice. In a good way, we were getting more support and more people that are like, hey, I just heard about you and you've earned my vote. But also, people are now attacking.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that we get all the time is, well, you're just a puppet for the Koch brothers. And the one thing I do like is that I can go on there and say the Koch brothers organization, AFP, has been supporting Rick Scott.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. People who say that, oh, you libertarians, you're just puppets for the Koch brothers. That goes back to our previous conversation of, you are uninformed and you should not be voting. Yes. You should not be participating. Clearly, you have no idea what you're talking about. Just get out.
Well, I love that in the same week we can be accused of being funded by the Koch brothers and George Soros.
Yeah.
Like, I find that one to be even funnier than anything, is that they, in the same week, the same damn week, we have been accused of being funded by the Koch brothers or George Soros. And I got to tell you, I would like to be funded by someone at this point.
Yeah.
Because look, don't get me wrong. Look, we have a lot of volunteers and a lot of donors that give good money to the campaign, and we're breaking records when it comes to that part. But boy, it'd be nice if we had some big, deep pockets, boy. It'd be nice at this point. Look, I got to tell you, I think we'd spend the money much better. Why am I getting every one of my pages killed here? But anyway.
You have to close that out and go back. But, well, we had, and this was the funniest thing, and most of our supporters saw it and thought it was hysterical, is that in the same thread on the Wiley for Governor Facebook page, someone wrote, anyone who votes for you is just making sure Chris gets back in office. And right underneath it says, why would I vote for you? You're just going to make sure Scott gets reelected.
Yeah.
In the same thread. And then there was about, 100 other people going, hey, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Joshua, had put out a post.
Yeah.
And in the post that he put out, he said that there was these two guys, one was a Democrat, one was a Republican, out. He works with them. and that they came back and they were, he was talking about voting for Adrian or whatever. Well, they came back and they had an idea. They said, well, and he's a Republican. If if I vote for Adrian and he votes for Adrian, our votes kind of cancel out. So there's no splitting of the vote then. And so they went out and voted for Adrian. Like, I don't know how we can market that as an idea of, like, if you like Adrian, just go find somebody of the opposite party and convince them to vote, and that way it doesn't cancel out your vote.
Yeah.
Because they're out there if you would just go looking.
Yeah.
So I don't know how we use that, but there's got to be a way to use that, though.
If you're a Republican and would like to vote for Adrian, bring your Democrat friend.
Yeah, find your one friend that's a Democrat, convince them to vote for Adrian, let them know you're not going to vote for Rick Scott if they don't vote for Charlie Crist, and let's go with it. Let's do this.
And even the brand new Quinnipiac poll that came out has the two, Rick Scott and Charlie Crist, tied at 42% with Adrian in the race, at 44% without Adrian in the race.
Yeah.
He's having zero effect on those two.
Yeah.
Because he's pulling from them both equally. Because they're equally horrible people.
Yep.
Well, just like that other story that the friend of mine that was a high school friend of mine said, he was at a poker game and he was playing poker, and there were so many people at the table, and almost all of them were like, yeah, Adrian would be better than the other two. But a lot of the table end up either going to go with Chris or going to go with Scott. Like, we're getting to the point where everybody's agreeing that he's the best, that the Libertarian is the best candidate. It's just that final hurdle of getting them to say, yeah, we're going to vote for him. Now, I think we've gotten a lot of that, but I think there's a lot more out there to get. It's just we haven't gotten them all the way there yet.
Yeah.
But we're close, though. We're getting a lot closer. But it's just putting those people over the top. And I think it's only going to be a matter of time. I mean, I'm looking at 1 or 2 more election cycles. They still keep putting up these disgusting candidates, man. I mean, it's got to be over at that point. Because it's really... Look, there's no getting around how bad these two are. Which we're going to get into the story with some of the stories in hour number 3.
Yeah.
But boy, is it bad.
Someone endorsed Adrian, and they write on a small blog, and they endorsed Adrian, but I love the first sentence that they used when they endorsed him. The two vile, reprehensible, double-dealing, vulgar, arrogant, narcissistic, repugnant and thoroughly corrupt individuals seeking election to the office of governor on behalf of the Democrat and Republicans are an insult to all law-abiding citizens of Florida.
Damn.
It doesn't get more true than that.
Yeah, that's some truth getting laid down there, boy. Damn. Almost, I feel bad.
The next sentence is Charlie Crist and Rick Scott are both totally unqualified to serve as governor.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
The one question that we have been getting more of lately is, if you weren't in the race, who would you support? And it's like, neither.
The fan.
Yeah, I'd write in the fan.
Neither. No, but and I get the call all the time. Remember, I got it. This guy was very upset. He's like, okay, if your guy wasn't in the race, who would you vote for? And I said, neither of them. And he goes, well, I just can't see that. I can see there's no talking to you. Okay.
You messaged me.
Yeah.
There was a phone call, and I'm like, okay. And he went down this because he had, one that he thought was better. And I was like, I don't agree with you. They're equally bad. They did the same things in office. I've seen what they've done as governor, and I don't like it. Either one. Mm-hmm. Neither one of them will get my vote, ever. I would write in Mickey Mouse first.
I would write in myself, actually. That's typically what I do when there's nobody in the race that I can vote for. I write myself in.
Well, and let me speak to this real quick. Can I smoke while we're in here, or no? Are you not going to let me?
No, the door's open.
Oh, all right. So
maybe after the break.
All right. Let me speak to this, though. A lot of times people are like, well, you got to pick one of the two. Here's what picking one of the two does. It gives one of the two that you just picked, not necessarily, it's not the right word I'm looking for, but it gives them the thought that you are doing a good job.
Right.
So even if you don't like Rick Scott or Charlie Crist, do not pick one of the two. Let's say Adrian wasn't in the race. You know what? I'd pick one of the other third party guys in reality. I'd pick anybody but them. If nobody else is on the ballot, I'll write it in. If not, I'll give my vote to somebody else. I'm not picking either one of them because I don't want to continue this disgusting process of these two guys. And I don't want either one of them to have a mandate. Over 50% is a mandate, man, and I don't want to give any of these guys mandates anymore. I want them to be weakened in their positions of power because those positions of power need to be weakened.
And I want both of their parties to be worried about the next election cycle.
Yeah, I'm not going to vote for. I'm not voting for your crappy guys. I'll vote for the MP every day of the week. Mm-hmm. Every day of the week, man. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because one more vote for him is one more vote away from you guys. Yeah. I mean, unless you got a good person, but I mean, look, I can't find those guys in Florida, and the ones I do like, you kick out of the primaries.
Yeah,
you know, you kick Norm out. You know, how are you going to kick Norm out? You know?
I did like Norm.
Yeah,
There's very few I like though.
There were actually several people in both parties in Pinellas in different races that I liked, but did not make it through their primary, which I kind of expect. You know, since I've been 18 years old, just promoted for lost. So I pretty much count on the fact that, I like this person. He's not getting elected.
Can you do a double vote for Rick Scott and Charlie Crist on election day then? Like, if that's your track record, can you help us out? Can you play defensive on this one for us, big guy? Can you take a grenade for the boys?
I wish I could. Quite frankly. I wish that if it all came down to my vote, I could do that. But I just know that.
Oh, if it all came down to my vote, I'd vote for myself and win. That's arrogant.
It is arrogant.
I don't care,
But
though.
from you, expected.
Thank you very much, Greg.
We actually, in the car rides, I will be listening to both Adrian and Alex tell each other how they're the better speaker or the. It's a long 3 hours when we're in the car.
I'm sure.
Is what I'm saying. It's a long 3 hours.
Well, I will say this. Both of you are better speakers than both of the major party governor candidates. I think that either of you would whoop either of them in a debate.
Well, yeah, but that's kind of... I mean, it's like saying that, you know, a Rottweiler would kill a Chihuahua. I mean, of course. Those guys suck all day long. I mean, look, those guys really are two of the most disgusting people on the face of the planet. Like, there's no getting around that, how bad those two are. And as you'll see in hour number 3, Charlie Crist's skeletons are coming out the closet, man. And they're coming out in a big way. And they're only going to continue. And the corruption of his ugliness is only going to be something that you get to see more and more and more of. Because, and you need to see it, man. You need to see it. People need to know how bad these two guys are.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'd beat him down like it was. I'd beat him down like nothing. So.
Yeah, the one thing you can say for Charlie Crist is he is a good public speaker. He's well spoken. He can articulate things and
both sides of a position at the same time.
Yeah,
That's how good he is.
That's where the criticisms start coming in. Is that, you know, he's a flip flopper, but I mean, he can public speak. I mean, I think he was a member of Toastmasters or something. I mean, Rick Scott. You put him next to Rick Scott, and it shows because Rick Scott is a bumbling idiot.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh. It's bad. Like, I'm embarrassed for him.
Yeah. I say that too. I'm like, I know that he doesn't have enough sense to be embarrassed for himself, so I'm embarrassed for him.
I am embarrassed for him because honestly, like, you can see it in his face. I mean, he's struggling just to get the words out. Like, the poor guy, I mean, you know, not that, I mean, listen, the guy is, you know, corrupt and evil all day long, but get him in front of a camera, in front of a group of people, and then ask him a question, and he just looks like he's gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, his eyes are about to bulge out of his head, you know, he's, like, uncomfortable and tense, and it's like, well, and then something stupid comes out.
The little man in his head is looking for the talking points that he's memorized and going, which one applies? Which one applies? I'm very happy to have the support of everyone that's coming out.
Go to the default. Go to the default.
Just go to Jobs. Go to Jobs.
Yeah, say Jobs 3 times. Say Jobs 3 times.
And they will appear. It's like Beetlejuice.
You know, what is very interesting in the polling data, though, that is being used right now, or that's coming out right now, libertarians are up a large amount of the young vote. How that equates to a campaign, or how get to the get out the vote effort, is that I don't know yet. But like Sarvis up in the how did that sound? That's not bad. I'm so tired.
It was just funny and not necessarily bad.
It wasn't bad.
How it
It was
equates,
just-
I don't know
so
yet.
tired.
We've been gaining ground, and how that'll equate to anything, I have no idea.
Well, how it goes to election day is still a mystery.
Right.
Sarvis, though, up there in Virginia, they did 18 to 35-year-olds, and for the Democrats at 47%. Libertarian Sarvis is at 24%. 18% were undecided, and 11% were voting for Gillespie. Gillespie's a Republican.
That's bad.
Well, no. Pretty damn good.
Well, bad for the Republicans. I mean, it just shows how
pathetic it is. But it's also, look, and we've gotten polls where we've had the young vote within like 30%.
Yes.
Like, there's good news out there. So, what to, again, we got to get those people out to the polls and vote, though.
Yeah, and I think that you'll see as I don't think you're going to see their mindset change as they get older. I think you're going to see them just come out to the polls more and think that, it's almost like when you're, very young, it's like, well, I don't have to do that. I'm still young, I think you're going to see as they get older them coming out to the polls, and I think you're going to see a new generation of voters that are going to start to outnumber who's voting now, and they're libertarian in their ideals. So I really think that we have libertarians that have a chance to win in this election cycle, but whether we win or not this year, it's coming. Libertarians are going to start winning, and they're going to start winning just because the demographics of the voting population is changing.
Well, actually, what I think is more likely is the same thing that's happened in the past. I don't think libertarian candidates are going to start winning. What we're going to see is the two major parties starting to adopt more libertarian policies, which I'm okay with. I'll take that as well. However we get the win, we get the win. Whether Democrats start taking stronger stances on civil liberties and Republicans start taking stronger stances on economic freedom, and we start moving that direction in reality and not just in talking points, then I'll be happy with that. The only reason the libertarians are rising in the polls is because they talk a big game on those issues and don't really do it. So I think that what we're more likely to see is those parties starting to adopt the policies that are the draw for us, that people are drawn to libertarians for, and then we'll get there that way.
I don't know if that's true, and I do understand what you're saying. But I really think that you have two parties that have been so corrupt that I think the younger isn't going to, their big thing is the corruption. I mean, you talk to any of them, their big thing is the corruption. So I can't see them putting aside that part of it to vote for that. I really don't. I think you're going to see a new generation of people saying, no, you guys have screwed this up, and I don't trust you because I've seen all the evil things you've done.
I can get on board with that, and I certainly think it's a possibility. I think it's a more remote possibility, just using historical context and the way things have gone in the past. I think that it's more likely that they're going to try and clean house within, get rid of the people who are corrupt, and start adopting more libertarian policies, and ultimately nullify the third party.
Let me say something here to both of you. I think you both could be right, and I think you both could be wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it is actually up to people like the three of us in this room to prove it one way or the other. I think that they're going to try to do exactly what Greg is saying. I do believe that they will try this. They'll be lying to themselves. They'll be lying to us, but they're going to try. I'll give them that. What we have to do is to take the trend line that we see right now, which is the 70. Since 2010, 78% of the people that have registered to vote have registered MPA. That trend line needs to continue, and we need to grab some of them to the Libertarian Party. But that trend line itself needs to continue. And the one way for that to happen is to make sure that we expose these SOBs for being as bad as they are. But Greg's right. They're going to try to say, well, we're going to be more libertarian. That's what they're going to... I mean, they steal our stuff all the time. But it's up to us on whether we're going to let that happen or not, though. Because I don't believe them. I don't believe that they're going to do any of the things that I would like to see them do. I really don't at the end of the day. I'd like to use the threat to make it possible, but at the end of the day, these guys are just authoritarian psychopaths.
Right. And actually, as far as who will get elected off of that, I think it's going to be independents and going to win elections, not necessarily Libertarian Party members. Certainly not people that are part of the two major parties. More to your point, in that people are getting to the point where they just don't trust political parties at all. And the people who see the corruption in the Democrats and the Republicans also have criticisms of libertarians. So they're not necessarily just going to jump on board with the Libertarian Party either, but they will support third-party candidates and people who kind of put themselves outside of those party realms and say, look, I'm not here for either party or any party. I'm here for the people.
Right.
And when they're speaking in a libertarian fashion as far as issues go, I'll certainly vote for an independent that has libertarian views. I have no problem with that. If you're a libertarian, I don't think you have to run with the LP to actually get yourself elected. Quite frankly, I think you've got a better chance of getting actually elected if you run as an independent or NPA.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how that feeling is after November. I mean, if we got our guys do well without winning, but do well, I think builds the brand up on it. At the end of the day, the one thing I will tell you is, oh, we got to take a break. I guess we'll take a break. I'm not going to tell him. I'm not going to tell him anyway.
Well,
I'm not going to tell him.
If you want to, you can.
No, I'm not going to tell you.
I looked at the time.
Whatever, guy.
I was talking and I missed the break.
Whatever, Prime Minister. All right, yeah, let's take a break here. Hour number 1's in the bag. Hour number 2 is coming up. 1787network.com. 1787network.com. We'll be back. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Are the people hearing our message, and they're realizing that the libertarian philosophy is essentially what most people believe. It's the simple philosophy that government should be limited, held within its constitutional boundaries, and that other than that, should pretty much leave people alone to live their lives as they see fit, so long as they're not harming anyone else.
I'm Adrian Wiley, Libertarian candidate for Governor of Florida, and I approve this message.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit TackleMyTicket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at TackleMyTicket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know, Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground, hour number 2. If you'd like to call the program tough because we don't have the phone, use it for devices needed to be made in order to make sure that that happened. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the show, even though it's about, like, we've been doing so much stuff about campaigns and candidates and stuff that trying to attack it from other angles today seemed to me like the right idea. We'll have Brandon from the Global Dispatch on this hour.
And he'll bring something smart to the
table. Hopefully he has something smart to bring to the table. I'm afraid he's not going to either, though, because it's like if it ain't Ebola talk, then you know.
It's just not. I honestly tried to pull like actual stories, but number one, we're not reading today or even having time to look at a news program because we are so focused on the Wiley campaign that we literally are just working. You know, the time we wake up until the time we go to bed very, very late because it's been a long drive from a campaign event. So I have no idea what's going on in the world. And then I'll look it up to do show prep, and it's like, oh, we're still on Ebola? Really?
Yeah. And the thing is, when there's something like this, like Ebola, dominating the news cycle, you know that there's something more important going on that we need to be talking about.
And I don't even have time to find it.
Yeah.
I wish they talk about it because I can't find it either.
Hiding it, and they're doing a damn fine job of it.
Bad that we're both just eating breakfast now in the middle of the
Guys,
show.
I'm sorry, man. We ain't getting bed till like something in the morning. We still got a day job, you know.
They're eating cold pretzel pizza for breakfast on the air.
Pretzel pizza is the best, though.
It is. Pretzel pizza is awesome. Yeah, that's the best invention since the Doritos taco.
I gotta say, when I first saw it, I'm like, I guess we'll try it. And now I'm like, that's all we buy.
Yeah, it's a good time. I like it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like other pizzas. I do like other pizzas better. You know, I like Domino's better than I like Little Caesars.
Oh.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Domino's didn't used to have good pizza, but then they changed their stuff around and they have good pizza now.
I disagree.
Well, you're free to disagree.
Because you know,
anything about America.
They said they changed it and that it got better, and I tried it, and I'm like, no, it didn't. No.
Oh, really? I thought it was a
I
marketable
think it
change.
gets better. I think it definitely. I think it definitely got better. I don't know if I would say like, oh, it's all fixed now, so let's start buying it. But it definitely was an improvement. Before.
Do you know who I felt really has gone downhill in their pizza making abilities?
Who's that?
Pizza Hut.
Me too.
Yeah, and it seems to get greasier every year.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the stuffed crust. I'm a big fan of that. But that's the only thing that keeps me going there. The only thing that ever keep me going there is the stuffed crust. Because other than that, their pizza has definitely gone downhill. So I gotta say that in the pizza ranking system, Domino's on the way up, and Pizza Hut's on the way down.
As far as the big chains go, I'm a Papa John's guy.
Oh, yeah.
But I much prefer a nice little non-chain mom and pop pizza place with some like third generation Italian guy back in the kitchen.
Can't even speak English.
Yeah, that's where it's at right there.
Well, that is a good time though. That is a good time.
That's what I like the best.
They have a harder time delivering though.
Yeah.
And their numbers aren't as prevalent.
Did you hear the news story about Peyton Manning and his Papa John's?
Oh, do tell.
You know Peyton Manning owns Papa John's franchises, and he started doing that when he was in Indianapolis with the Colts. Started investing his money in owning Papa John's franchises, and then when he got traded over to Denver. I don't know if it's a trade or not, but still, now he's in Denver, so he bought some franchises there. Well, he came out and said that the legal marijuana has done great things for his business.
That's awesome.
What?
Yes, Peyton Manning came out and said that the legalization of marijuana in Denver has done great things for his business.
That's funny, by the way.
That's awesome.
That's really funny. And not unpredictable, by the way. Let me just say that.
And you know what? That is the kind of thing we need to talk about. And it's the thing I like to talk about when we're talking about legalization, because legalization is not just about letting people who want to get high get high. It's about the residual effects of how it's going to help the economy all over. Because I don't think that anybody believes that Peyton Manning is some stoner sitting on his couch doing nothing. He's a pretty hardworking guy, and I highly doubt he smokes weed. But clearly, he sees the benefits for himself personally that this has now been legalized. And there are a lot of people out there who are going to benefit from the legalization of marijuana that do not smoke it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go with it, man. Crime's down over there when it comes to, a lot of different kinds of crime. Those things are down. Look, at the end of the day, you just can't. We've had this legalization argument, and Amendment 2 is on the ropes in some ways. I still don't think they're calculating it right. I do think it's going to win, but it is on the ropes. The no for two people and their lies, which have just been outright, misstatements and lies and just really just horrible stuff. They are effective in some ways, but it's only kind of bringing those back that were on the fence anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to look at this as this is a freedom issue. Allowed to do it. The government doesn't have a role to play in this. At the most, it is a healthcare issue or not a mental health, but a health issue. It should be handled that way. It never should have been handled the way it's being handled right now, which is a crime issue. You know what I mean? They breed more crime because of this. Our incarcerations are the largest in the world because of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to end. I hope it does around the entire country. I'm glad to see it. At least it's going in certain states, and in some ways, it does kind of want to make me move to those states.
Except it's too cold.
Yeah.
Why can't we get a warmer state that will do this?
I'm telling
Please.
you, a warmer state legalizes.
I'm going Arizona.
I think we're moving.
I'm going straight.
It's nice in Uruguay.
Any other any other state in the union that's below the Mason-Dixon line that starts doing this stuff, you know what? I think I'm gonna have to go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, to your point at the beginning about how the polls are showing a decline in support for Amendment 2, I think kind of know that it's probably still going to pass because the way they do those polls, we've talked about it before, over 700,000 new registered voters who are going to be coming out just to vote on Amendment 2, and they're not included in the polls. And they really should be, because new registered voters are the most likely people to vote, at least this time. They're probably not going to continue to vote. They're not going to necessarily turn into super voters, but most people, when they go and register to vote, they get very excited about being able to vote for the first time in this next election. So that's probably going to be the greatest turnout, is those newly registered voters.
And they're looking at absentee ballots being turned in and saying, well, new registered voters aren't really turning in their absentee, aren't really a large part of the absentee ballot being turned in. But I'd like to see how many of them even requested one.
Right.
Because if you just registered to vote because you heard on November 4th you're going to be able to vote for legalizing medical marijuana, did you know to get an absentee ballot?
Exactly.
So I think people are going to be very surprised at the results in this election. The turnout is going to be, new voter heavy, I think, more than ever before because of Amendment 2. So I actually think the polls are completely incorrect. I think the polls are useless this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, in Pinellas County, like in the county that we do the show, well, we do the show out of Pasco, but out of Pinellas County, though, the turnout is pretty high right now. You're looking at 22% turnout right now in there, if you include the early vote and the mail vote. So you're looking at 22% turnout as it stands right now. And early votes have been, there's not a whole lot of early votes right now in mail, but there's been a big upsurge in the mail vote, though, over the past couple days, just in the county. I mean, you look at it, early vote for the 23rd was 1,000 early vote, 8,000 mail, 8,000, another 8,000 on the no. The 23rd had 8,000 mail-in votes, 1,000 early votes. The 22nd was 8,000 mail-in votes, 987 early votes. Then mail on the 21st was 11,000. On the 20th it was 1,000, and it was 11,000 again. So the numbers are pretty big on the mail side, and that does bring the percentage up, pretty big. 90 out of all the votes cast, 96% of them have been mail-in and 3% have been early vote. So there's going to be more in the early vote that's going to come in. It may not overcome the mail-in. It definitely won't do that. But if you look at the percentages of the people that are voting too, is that Dems are 51,000, Republicans are 58,000, others are 27,000. So it's, we'll see what happens. It's 22% right now. We'll see if they do if it changes, where you get a lot more of the MPA and the other vote. I think the other vote needs to go up a lot more. That's what we really need to make sure that in the election in order to really make a change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of surprises come election day in November.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of those elections where I think what we really do need to do is to take a look at all the internal numbers and equate that to what we've known has been going on in certain areas that will help us gauge effective activity.
Yeah, no, I definitely do.
That sounded way too smart for me.
That was very smart. It's like you just woke up and got smarter.
He must have bought some 50-cent words during the break.
I bought a couple.
He had $1.
I thought he was just getting a drink and some pretzel pizza.
I was getting that, but then I had to get some other stuff too. And not every county has the same turnouts, though. I mean, Pinellas actually that's a pretty high.
And they generally are.
Yeah, Pinellas County is an absentee ballot county. I mean, the absentee ballot determines the election. Not enough people show up in early voting or on the day of an election to sway the vote. There are more absentee ballots turned in than people who show up for early voting and on election day. That's just how it is in Pinellas. And it has been that way for a long time, and I don't see this election being any different. So you can pretty much determine the way Pinellas is going to go off of the absentee ballots.
Yeah, we'll see. And looking, if you see in, Hillsborough County, the turnout's 11% right now.
Yeah.
That's a lot lower than what you see over there. And by party, you're still looking at some about the same things. Dems is 34, Republicans 37,000 or 34,000, Republicans 37,000, 15,000 for other, and they've included their provisionals already though.
Well,
which is
because
a little weird.
People early voting are provisional. Some of them are going to be provisional.
Well, they had 8 of them out of 10,000. 8 of them were provisional.
Yeah, I could see that.
Didn't have the right information or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah, they just moved and didn't change counties and things like that, so that happens.
Yeah.
I just don't trust absentee. I don't trust mail-in. Because every election
I vote that way.
every election we hear about all these mail-in ballots being thrown out. And people see you vote that way, and a lot of people tell me, "Oh, you need to change to absentee," and I refuse to because every single election, I see all these mail-in ballots being thrown out.
Yeah, I wouldn't vote absentee. I'll vote early, maybe.
Right.
I actually like voting on election. I'll vote early, maybe. This time I might vote early, though.
Yeah, I was thinking I'm probably going to go vote early so I'm free for the day for election day.
That's what he was thinking.
However, my polling location is typically not very busy, especially I'm usually like the third person to vote. And I'm like third in line there when it opens.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take me a long time, and it's always been part of the whole thing for me is just going out for election through the process, standing there in the booth. And the last 2 elections, I've taken my son with me, and taken him through the line with me and showing him what we're doing, because he's always asking what I'm doing anyway, and it's a way to kind of and show him that this is what it's all about. I'm always talking about these candidates and what I'm doing with the Libertarian Party, and this is what it is.
My kids refuse to vote in the mock elections unless they include the third-party candidates.
That's awesome.
That is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, both of them will turn it in and say, I'm sorry, this wasn't a proper ballot. Weren't on it, so I wouldn't vote.
Yeah.
Love it.
And at and for Pasco County, if you're looking for turnout right now, they're at 11%.
Yeah, I think 11% is probably more of the standard in most counties, but there are some counties like Pinellas, there's a few other ones in North Florida that are very heavy absentee voting.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Next story.
Well, and this is, well, whatever. October is actually Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So the WWE, which I know you guys like, actually came out with new standards to kind of say, oh, look, we care. And so they came out with new standards for their employees, which is like a zero tolerance policy for any kind of domestic violence. And they came out and made a huge press conference and everything because of these new standards that they're going to have, that any person who is arrested for any kind of domestic violence situation will be immediately suspended. If they're convicted, then they immediately will be terminated.
Well, they've had problems with themselves in the past. You remember Chris Benoit?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Listen, this is...
Which sucks, too, because he was a really good wrestler.
This is years after that, and they're just coming out with these policies now.
Well, they're definitely
Well, they were waiting for somebody else to
NFL.
screw up. They were waiting for somebody else to screw up, and then they came out looking good.
Now,
Good move on their part, by the way.
I actually disagree with their policy. I think this actually is going to make it so that less people actually report domestic violence until it gets very, very bad to a point where there is no way to hide it anymore. Because if you are reliant upon that income to feed your children, you will be a lot less likely to report any incidents, knowing that the income will stop.
Yeah.
And the abuser will use that against you.
And all you have to do is look at Ray Rice's wife and the stance that she took after all this came out. And a lot of people were very judgmental on her about how, well, she cares more about the money than her safety. Well, that may be true. And maybe for her that is more important. And but I think you're absolutely right. The women who are being abused by these wrestlers or these football players are likely to weigh the options of, he's going to lose his income if I report this. And
this is how I feed my children.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, and the WWE isn't the only one that's come out with these. Many, many companies across the country have these same zero tolerance policies. And I think especially in companies where they're not millionaires, there's not millions of dollars in the bank, it makes situation say, I can't report this because if we lose this income, my children and me end up on the street.
Mm-hmm.
I can't child support. I can't get anything because he's not even going to have a job anymore.
Yeah.
So I almost always disagree with zero tolerance policies anyways, but I think while I appreciate what the WWE is doing, I think they have done it at a time where they're trying to say, listen, they've had these problems in their organization for years and haven't come out with anything. It happens to be October, happens to be, the month of where, you should be talking about these issues. And now all of a sudden, years later, it's like, oh yeah, we'll make a big deal out of our new policies. And the policies themselves, I don't agree with. I don't think this helps.
Yeah, it's absolutely a publicity. It's all about the publicity because the NFL is getting the publicity over this, and so they're jumping on that bandwagon to get some of the residual publicity on this, and as well as, like you said, it being Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So, if it was really about a moral standing, they would have done this a long time ago. The timing of it just shows it to be exactly what it is, as a publicity stunt, which it's pro wrestling. That's all it's all about, publicity stunts.
Right.
Yeah, it is, isn't it, though? Yeah.
Hey, that's what they make their money on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't agree with the policy. I thought that it was poorly timed. I think it was just a publicity stunt. You know, I actually think when Linda McMahon ran for office, it was a publicity stunt because the WWE's numbers were going down, and it's like, well, I'll put myself and run for office because that will bring attention back to us. I think everything this family does is for publicity.
I'm very happy for that. And I'm very happy for that. You know what I mean? Because, hey, look, man, wrestling is about as real as the fight in Washington in politics.
Oh, yeah. I compare politics to pro wrestling all the time.
I do wish that they would have that the politicians would have implemented the entrance music.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be cooler, personally, but that's just me. One other thing that came out yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. It's going to be weird because I want to show and I highlight what a media bias really does look like. IRS notches legal victory in Tea Party cases. So the IRS won their lawsuit against the Tea Party groups that they were exempting. Now, in hearing that, though, without reading any of the story, but in hearing that, just the headline, though, what does that make you think? It makes you think that those Tea Party groups are not tax exempt, right? Like the IRS won. They didn't let them be tax exempt.
Yeah.
So the IRS won, right?
Right.
The reason that they won... Hold on, let me read this. I want to read this. Judge Reggie Walton of the U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia dismissed almost all counts brought against the tax collecting agency in 2 cases, ruling that both were essentially moot now that the IRS granted these groups their tax-exempt status that had been held up for years.
So the only reason that the IRS won is because they already fixed it.
Correct.
And they're making this big news and trying to make you think that the IRS won and, like, could still do mean things. Like, they were still at it.
Yeah. Like, that's the part. It's like, in reality, what happened is that the IRS did what they... Again, I guess you can't really sue the IRS for damages at this point. Maybe I think what really happens is they couldn't actually point out damages. Right. Like, the groups could not point out damages, so if they allowed them to be tax exempt, then the damages were gone at that point, and they were able to continue.
Well, the thing is if they were charging them taxes and then all of a sudden said, oh, my bad, you should have been tax exempt from this day, and then deleted all the charges and the penalties, then there is no harm.
Right.
Well, what it says here, hold on, here we go. Walton, President George W. Bush appointee, also said that individual IRS officials could not be fined capacity for allowing such treatment because it could hurt future tax enforcement. The ruling, which the groups could appeal, has serious implications for Tea Party groups suing the IRS, suggesting they may never receive compensation for the long waits they endured for a ruling on their status. The Inspector General report that ignited the targeting controversy last year found that applications sat in limbo for as long as several years, and that the groups were asked inappropriate questions about their donors, political affiliations, and random things like social media posts. So they're saying that none of that matters. That they're because they let them have the tax exempt status, none of it matters. It also seems to me that what they're doing is trying to protect the IRS against more money that they would make because they'd set a precedent that other people would be able to use down the road. Not just Tea Party. I think it has a lot less to do with the Tea Party groups than it does the other people that the IRS frequently messes with.
Well, and I think what the bigger problem is that the Tea Party groups were actually suing individual agents. So they're trying to, instead of just suing the IRS, they were suing the IRS and all of the agents involved personally.
Yeah.
And so I think the ruling of the judge was like, listen, you can sue the IRS, but you can't sue every individual agent.
Yeah. Now, here's Paul Ryan's people. Judge Walton got it right. There is no ongoing injury to these groups, said Paul S. Ryan. Okay, I'm sorry. It's a different Paul Ryan, sorry. Paul S. Ryan, senior counsel at the Campaign Legal Center, which backs tighter rules on political nonprofits. The IRS needs to enforce tax law with respect to nonprofit political groups more aggressively. So, one group saying that, they got it right, whatever. Again, you have organizations and people that are very much in line with trying to make sure that we continue the crap at the IRS. I mean, here's the thing. I don't think they need to be sued. I think they need to be closed down. The IRS needs to be shuttered and everybody fired, and they need to be closed down. I'm not going to be happy with a sue job here. I want an out of business sale. I want you to have to sell all your crap.
Everything must go.
A fire sale.
Yeah, and criminal charges should have been brought up on some of these people, but different story for a different day. But let's go ahead and take a break. When we get back, hopefully Brandon can up the show's quality. That'll always be a good thing, right? All right, you're listening to Liberty Underground. We'll be back.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
The people hearing our message, and they're realizing that the libertarian philosophy is essentially what most people believe. It's the simple philosophy that government should be limited, held within its constitutional boundaries, and that other than that, should pretty much leave people alone to live their lives as they see fit, so long as they're not harming anyone else.
I'm Adrian Wiley, Libertarian candidate for Governor of Florida, and I approve this message.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact law offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Like facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza. on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back, Liberty Underground Show. I'm almost feeling a little bit more awake, but not really.
Getting there.
Let me go ahead and opine for a couple minutes while he gets Brandon on.
November 5th. That's when we'll be awake again. Well, actually, that's when we're actually going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's when you'll get to sleep in the next day.
November 8th. That's when we're going to be awake again.
Exactly. I mean, it's just a grind, man. It's just a dang grind. Oh, he's calling us?
Brandon's calling us. Brandon,
are you there?
I am. How's everyone?
What are you doing this morning, buddy?
Oh, very blessed. Very blessed. A lot of good stuff going on.
Oh, a lot of good stuff going on. Okay.
We can officially announce November 1st. Robert Harriman will be back on the radio with the Outbreak News of the Week. That'll be on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. on WGUL 860 in Tampa.
Oh, you guys are going over to 860, huh?
It worked out really. It's a great chance for us to have a good slot and a great team to work with.
Well, yeah, and their stick has got a little bit better reach anyway.
That's for sure.
So, but not that against Tan Talk. We're still on Tan Talk, and I like them very much, and I would not.
No ill will at all. Definitely closer to his home, things like that, so it works out better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what's going on out there other than the big announcement, and congratulations on that, by the way. What else is going on out there?
Well, the big headlines this week obviously has to do with this war that we're in. I know everybody's not really talking about that right now. By the way, we are still in the Middle East on a daily basis, but we have accidentally dropped weapons to the terrorists, and ISIS did a video of themselves thanking America for their little box of armaments. And then, of course, we now have confirmation from Iraqi officials that ISIS actually did use chlorine gas in one of their attacks. And some people I think they're doing fine, but obviously it does show that the chemical weapons that we are claiming Assad had and used may have actually been on the other side of that attack.
Oh, really? Is this the same used in Syria?
It's one of the gases that have been used in gas. It's a chlorine gas. It's not a sarin gas. There's different canisters that we know they have. Some of the ones that are linked to, Iraq. Some of the stuff's been moved around so many times. I'm not sure whose fingerprints are not on it.
I'm pretty sure all of them have the U.S. government stamp on them.
Yeah. That really. Has the administration admitted to doing this?
Actually, it's funny you say that because I quoted the comments that were done yesterday where they are very apprehensive. They say things like, well, we take the use of any chemical weapons very seriously. They don't really get into a lot of details. Now, they did have to come out and confirm the error of the 2 drops where we gave the enemy weapons by accident. So they actually had to confirm that, obviously, because, like I said, they tweaked photos and they sent YouTube videos of themselves with these weapons. So they really couldn't deny that any longer.
Wow. They made a video thanking us.
I mean, these guys are that's kind of dumb, and in my opinion, that was kind of dumb. And the reason is because now the military knows about it, so they're not going to do it again.
Well, I mean, you want to believe that, but again, they're still dropping. We're quote arming these rebels. We're arming the people in Iraq and Syria that we are considering today as the good guys. So I don't see that ending anytime soon. That's kind of part of their agenda at the moment. But it does show that they don't really have a clue to who they're really arming. And we still treat ISIS. We still want to pretend that these are, cave-dwelling third world nation individuals that we're battling. Meanwhile, they're tweeting the photo of the shooter in Canada before the press will even identify the guy.
Wow. Oh, man. Yeah, these guys have learned social media.
Well, they're masters of social media. I mean, they created a firestorm that we've yet to be able to get confirmation from anyone when they had two people who were vocal about their support of ISIS. They're here in America. They tweeted photos. One was in Chicago, kind of like held up the picture of the newspaper kind of thing, and yet we've never heard confirmation that either of these two individuals were ever arrested, detained, tracked, or anything. We can't get any word at all on what was dealt with them.
Yeah, it's pretty bad out there. What else is going on out there, Brandon?
I think the other is still kind of the fallout. There's a lot of press moving around. Obviously, the Houston, Texas thing with the sermons. The mayor there still trying to push forward, and then kind of backing off and pushing again about trying to basically try to go against what she considers as hate speech. And then, of course, we're seeing in Idaho now something that to me is a little bit darker, because we're talking about actually possibly invoking an actual lawsuit, which could even lead to jail time, even going to a federal lawsuit to force these pastors to perform gay marriages and things like that now that it is legal in their state. So the separation of church and state is really not being upheld in these situations, and it is kind of a story that's moving through different circles, not necessarily the CNN headline that you're going to see right now, though.
Well, and let's go. I want to go back to the first one first before we go to the second thing that you just said. Is that, can you tell the story from the beginning of the sermons being?
Well, she put forth through the city council. She's the mayor there. Her last name is Parker. She is the first, mayor of such a large city, and they put forth the city council. They were asking for, I believe, 6 pastors to release their sermons that had been reported that they had spoken out openly against gay marriage, against homosexuality, teaching that it was a sin. They wanted to, quote, review these. Then that didn't really go well because it went to national press rather quickly. There's a lot of pressure. She initially sounded as though she was just saying it was kind of a mistake. And they talked about, well, they're not really looking at the sermons. Then they were going to subpoena. They were asking for something else. So there's been a lot of back and forth, because obviously that is her intent, to navigate the PR nightmare that this keeps creating.
Now, and again, these churches, so they were speaking out against gay marriage, and they were speaking out against, saying that homosexuality. But were they doing anything that was a violation of their tax exempt status or whatever?
I've never heard anything or any evidence that they were ever doing anything. I don't think that she's even alleged that they're doing anything that's in violation of their tax exempt status. That debate itself has been discussed a lot, because it's like, at what point can a church speak out on politics and political issues, and therefore once they do those things, then they shouldn't be eligible. That debate has been separate from this story, but that's a separate argument and discussion as well.
Why do you think that the mayor asked for this?
I believe she views that speech as hate speech. I think she views it as a derogatory speech. She's gay herself, so she finds it offensive, and I don't know if she was looking to put pressure on them to change. I'm not sure what she thought she was going to have as far as leverage goes. She's just the mayor, but the city council had rallied behind her to do this, so it wasn't like she was totally alone in this.
Yeah, definitely wasn't alone, and the city council did approve it. But now it looks like they're backing off of that, though, and they're not going to be looking for it, because the churches at that point then stood up and said that, we're not going to give you the stuff.
And again, they go to the national, where you get, you have national radio and some of the syndicated stuff, so every story gets that national legs, but this one certainly did.
Well, the one other thing is, the churches that you're talking about are not, they're private organizations, or they're religious organizations, but they're open to the public. It's not like they're not letting people in. So, like, if anybody wanted to actually get if somebody wanted to sit there and transcribe what they were saying, technically there would be no rule against them doing that, and I don't think the church could actually do anything to stop it. I mean, in reality.
Well, and actually, have online sermons. I mean, you can go to even our church website, my personal church's website, and you'll be able to listen to the sermons for yourself. You can listen to the different teach and preach and what they talk about. So it's not necessarily some sort of cloak and dagger approach to ministry. Now, I can't speak for these churches particularly, and I was never shown or guided toward any particular comments or statements that she found particularly offensive, and that was at the root of the movement. But that is sort of the insinuatory situation.
Yeah, it seems like that, but it's not like it's even hidden though. Like it's not like you could probably. I mean, I guess if you said I'm going to bring a camera in so I can take every word down and then try to get you guys in trouble, I'm sure the church would probably frown upon that. But I don't think they could stop anybody from doing anything if they did go in there. It seems like it was almost like an intimidation tactic being used by the mayor to try to shut these people up, and that I think they didn't realize that those people were going to fight back in a pretty heavy way. And so it's I don't know what the word I'm trying to use here is, but it's the mayor kind of like just kind of being like stupid about it.
Well, it's consistent with liberal philosophy because they're saying, hey, we want something done, but you have to do it for us.
Well,
yes.
But I think that some of the problem comes in is that, and where these people are getting legal standing for this, in some cases, is the fact that when your church incorporates and becomes a legal corporation, they're subject to the same discrimination laws as any other corporation, especially when if you have hired employees like that saying these things, if you were a corporation that were to put out a memo to all of your employees saying that homosexuality is a sin and it shouldn't be tolerated, you as a corporation, your employees would have legal standing and the public would have legal standing against you. So when you're incorporating your church, even though we have a separation and First Amendment rights between the separation of church and state, the church is choosing to bring the government in when they incorporate. There's a lot of churches do not choose to incorporate. Now, when they do that, they do open themselves up to more of a liability, but what they do is keep that separation from the government more defined, that there is that separation.
Brandon?
Well, and that is the muddy waters, right? Because, I mean, at some point, you talk about you bringing government in when you speak on those issues, but it's a freedom of religion. Church to be able to have the right to speak on what their belief is, not necessarily about standing to prevent people from getting married or what the state recognizes, but speaking on it from a religious practice standpoint. And that's where it becomes, a very difficult thing. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, you shouldn't be sending out a memo to your staff, and you shouldn't be, but at the same time, doesn't the church have the right to decide how it wants to run its operation? And we see that we've already talked about this endlessly about the private sector and some different issues with how discrimination law is being applied in these cases. And we're in a gray and muddy area that we haven't really been in before because we have such an overlap now with some of this.
Oh no! And you're absolutely right. I mean, the waters are muddied, and what happens is that sometimes that people will use the other laws that they created to try to shut down dissent or to shut down someone else's free speech. Whether you agree with it or not is not even the question here. The First Amendment was not put in place for popular speech. It was put in for lack of and I'm not calling what they were saying popular or unpopular, but it was put in for unpopular speech. Mm-hmm. It was to give you the right to say whatever you want, just as long as you're not yelling fire in a crowded theater. Which I always like using that reference. I'm sorry, but it's for this. It's for that. Okay, we think that this is a sin and we think that this is wrong. And again, I don't necessarily agree with them myself. But again, it's not my church. I don't get to as to what they want to preach about. And the people that are there, if they don't like what their pastor's saying, then they can leave. Now that happens all the time. You have churches that, a group of people that are there didn't really like what that pastor's saying. There's another pastor that they like, so they break off and they start another church. I mean, hell, religions were started for that reason. So I don't have a problem if they want to say what they want to say. It's going to be up to them whether their parishioners agree with it or not, I think.
Well, I wish the liberal side agreed with this, because we've seen now through their actions, though, they don't believe in, if you disagree, you walk away. They believe in, if they disagree, we're going to use the force of government and we're going to find a way to force this upon you. Now we're seeing that in Idaho. That's what the case in Idaho is. It's gone to the next level. So, well, we're not happy with just shutting them up. We're now going to force them to comply or shut them down.
Yeah,
that's happening to pastors, and that's where it becomes very scary territory for a church.
Oh yeah, now finish the story on that part of it, on the part of forcing the churches to perform marriages for people that are gay. Can you get into that part?
Well, just obviously we went through the sequence of events where, Supreme Court didn't hear the appeal. The appeal in Idaho doesn't go through, so therefore gay marriage is legal in Idaho. These two pastors, Donnie and Evelyn Knapp, run a small church. They do weddings, and they were told, we're not doing these. This is against our practice. You just got to go somewhere else. We just don't do it. Now they're coming through. They found standing. It's gone very quickly to a very authoritative, worded lawsuit that really has been reinforced by officials to say, listen, you will either do this or we will go through with this. We'll go to the federal level. You could be jailed. You could be fined. I mean, it's just all sorts of really scary, harsh language for something like this. And it's definitely in contrast to what you just said. They don't believe in to each their own, especially when it comes to gay marriage. And this is part of what I think, as a Christian and as those that disagree with this is have been hesitant because they're not. This is not about to each their own. Each time the states legalize this, the first they move right into the church. There's a lot of lawsuits, a lot of things that say, listen, this is legal now in the state. You have no right anymore to tell me no. I get married here. I can have a ceremony here. I can rent out your facilities. I can do. You have to do it. Same thing with the schools and kindergarten lessons. All these different things that not everyone agrees with. This is sadly moving very, very rapidly, and I don't think many people are catching this because it can't get a word in edgewise when it comes to Ebola and ISIS, and at least some election coverage. We still don't have very much, by the way, but it doesn't make the headlines.
Well, here's my point here. A lot of times on the left, you will hear this discussion about the separation of church and state. Is that those two things should be separate entities? But it seems like that when you hear some people on the left talk about this, that they're being very hypocritical in that conversation. And the reason is you do want the state involved as long as you agree with what the state's doing.
Right.
Is
That's
that
for everything?
Well, there's a lot of things, but there's a lot of things like that. But this is a good example of this, though. Is that for that church, if you're going to say you have to allow them the freedom. If they, in their own teachings that they say that this is not something that you're supposed to do, then you can't force them to do that. You're going to shut them down is what you're doing, which may be the goal. It may be the goal. It's not a live and let live thing. You're right. It's not. It's one of these things that's, I want them to do it the way that I want them to do it. And if not, then they shouldn't be operating, in the public to go there. And that part, when you hear a lot of people, and again, you hear a lot of people that will talk about there's this war going on against, Christians, against their religion and against, what they're trying to go out there and do. I don't know how you can say that necessarily, at least in some small ways, happening when you hear stories like this. And what it does is it kind of cements the argument that there is something going on that they're attacking these people for. Look, there's a difference between baking a cake and the damn church thing. Look, the cake people are there to bake cakes. These people are people. You can't, and again, I don't agree with either one of them. I think as a business owner, you should be able to do what you want. But at the same time, I would hope that there would be a church. There are churches in Pinellas County. I know that we have churches that are gay churches. They marry people. Go find one of them. Why get in the fight when you don't need to get already something out there unless you're only doing it to get into a fight?
But that's what I think where we're at, and we've seen that with the businesses, with how the freedom from religion movement has struck a chord, won a lot of legal cases, legal battles. Is there is not a to each their own, walk away. I must remotely exist. Obviously, the Freedom from Religion Foundation is based in Wisconsin, and they're suing everyone in the entire country. They're not rooted there. They just try to find someone in that district or that area that they, quote, can say has standing, and therefore they move forward with this eradication, so to speak, of the Christian presence. Now we're seeing that possibly turn the tables, and I think this lawsuit is definitely worth watching, because if it moves in the same way other discrimination cases have, the pastor in this case is on that, and that changes and transforms our country dramatically, very quickly.
Do you think that you're... Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Well, I think the thing that exposes the anti-Christian bigotry here is the fact that they don't pursue any other religion the same way. And when you look at a religion like Islam that is highly against homosexuality, and it's not even like you can find a mosque that is okay with gay people. I mean, that's pretty much a in all of Islam. Where there are churches that are like, we still love you. God still loves you. It's okay for you to be gay, and we'll marry you. But you're not going to find a mosque that says that. But nobody's going after the mosques for that.
So you're talking about what you're speaking to there, Greg, if I'm not mistaken, is the hypocrisy of targeting only the Christian churches and not going after the mosques or the synagogue or the, whatever the other religions that are out there, the Buddhists or whatever. They're only going after the Christian churches, and you think that's being done by design.
Absolutely.
Look at that, man. Look at that. You know what? What's beautiful about the libertarian ideology, by the way? I'm going to say something beautiful about it, is that Greg, who in all actuality is a
pantheist.
A pantheist. I'm a deist, right?
Yes.
Okay, you are
I'm a Christian.
You're a Christian. And Brandon, who's a Christian, all actually can come to the same conclusions as to what is right and what is wrong with these stories. Right, Brandon?
And again, that's why I was pointing out the problem with what your stance is, because that's not what we're seeing manifested in society. That's not what we're seeing on the liberal side of the aisle in particular. And that's what's frustrating, because it's like they want to sound as though they're for freedom and liberty and these types of things, but it's really only when they agree with it. I think the example I used this week, it was a liberal who, they believe in, you have the right to your body. They're very pro-choice, which is fine, except against fatty foods. They're against, they're for regulating salt and soft drinks and all the other different things that go along with this. So you're not really for the freedom of my body. I can't put the Dunkin' Donuts in a 2-liter bottle of soda in my body because you think it's... And that's where the circular argument tends to take us.
Let me add one more to that, by the way. When you have a terminal illness and you would like to use experimental medication, is that they are okay with the FDA saying that you're not allowed to use it, even though you're fully aware of the situation, you're fully aware of the side effects, you're going to die anyway, you're willing to try this experimental medication in order to fix it, and they'll stop you from doing that. So you're right. It is a lot of hypocrisy, and I do wish that we could have some honest conversation about the hypocrisy. Like, you got to be okay with other people saying that they don't agree with you, and you can't every time use guys with guns to go and get your way.
That's why we have your show.
All right. And thank you very much. I appreciate that, Brandon. Let's get the last thing is the thing you knew we were going to talk about this week. The most important news that's going on in the world right now: Walking Dead.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Correct you?
Yes.
It's the new Avengers trailer.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second. Let's talk about that. You're right. I haven't seen that yet.
I posted it to Facebook.
It's by far the biggest thing on the planet right now, and it's just, you can go to the Global Dispatch unit and only see the Avengers trailer with a whole bunch of photos. You'll also see the new poster and some quotes from James Spader, who talks about how crazy his character is. And if it doesn't get you, if you're not a fan of any of the movies, and maybe this isn't for you, but if you are at all, I guarantee this will be a nice dessert for you for the week. But yes, we can talk about Walking Dead if you like. Also, it's another great episode.
Well, what did you think? Well, hold on. Let's trailer first, though.
Oh, I think it's phenomenal. I think it really does a great job of teasing everything, and it of course sets up a very nihilistic perspective on how the movie will go. It's not like a very, almost every superhero, he comes out on top. This really sets up a very dark perspective on the team not being able to come out on top, and that's exactly what you want to do to kind of fuel the frenzy and the energy to get people excited about the film.
Okay, well, it looks pretty good. When is that coming out?
That is May 1st.
And
that's a long time.
And you can definitely see the setup that they are going towards the Civil War storyline, and you can definitely see the setup of that in the Age of Ultron movie, just even in the trailer.
Oh, wow. So it looks like it's going to be a good time then.
Yeah. I'm excited.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to get excited for it, too. I'll have to go watch it. So,
in other comic book movie news, Brandon, what do you think about the leak regarding Batman versus Superman and the female Robin?
It's interesting you bring that up, because I'm not sure people are aware that that's such a big part of comic book folklore. And obviously, Dark Knight Returns was such a huge comic book series that kind of revamped all of comic book history, and to have a female Robin is probably going to be something that will be very divisive. People that don't know any better will make a bigger issue out of that than should be made of it. I really am not surprised. I think they've moved towards that type of mythology with rocking the boat. They love to rock the boat. So it really kind of fits what I can see Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers trying to accomplish. And obviously I know Greg knows, but obviously if you haven't seen it, Alex, they laid out, DC laid out their movies all the way to 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So you talk about, Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and 2 Justice League movies and all sorts of stuff. So they're actually trying to at least get in the game and be competitive with Marvel.
Well, competition's always a good thing, so I'm looking forward to it then.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot. So, all right. Well, we're gonna have to cut this one short. It's 10:59. So.
Well, that's not short. That's on time.
Oh, it's on time. Okay. We'll have to cut.
We're just not going to get to talk about Walking Dead.
I feel that it is short, but that's okay though. His name is Brandon. The website is The Global Dispatch. Brandon, thank you so much again, brother. We really do appreciate it, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks for having me, guys, and talk hard.
Talk hard. All right, guys. That's hour number 2. Hour number 3 is coming up. Hopefully everybody is going to enjoy hour number 3. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Some very controversial subjects to bring up, but hopefully everybody enjoys it very well. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Are the people hearing our message, and they're realizing that the libertarian philosophy is essentially what most people believe. It's the simple philosophy that government should be limited, held within its constitutional boundaries, and that other than that, should pretty much leave people alone to live their lives as they see fit, so long as they're not harming anyone else.
I'm Adrian Wiley, Libertarian candidate for Governor of Florida, and I approve this message.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with camera. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join the fight at www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-3 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know, Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 7-376-0030.
Don't be mistaken. I believe in peace, but I won't be taken.
This is Liberty Underground with Alex Snicker, Danielle Alexandre, and Greg Bowen on the 1787 Radio Network.
Well, good morning, Clearwater, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg. This is Alex, co-host, Liberty Underground, along with me, the Duchess of Doing Stuff, Tripoli's favorite libertarian, number one in your hearts and minds, Danielle Alexandre. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Doing good?
Yeah, I'm tired.
Tired
Yeah.
but good, right?
Tired but good.
Tired but good. Also in studio with us, the Prime Minister of all things that are sinister, Greg Bowen. How are you doing, sir?
Spectacular.
That's good to hear. Hopefully everybody out there is having a good week. Hopefully you got what you wanted this week when you were out there doing your thing. If you were working, hopefully you had a good work week. Hopefully this weekend will be good for you and you won't be tired like we are, because we're tired. Election season is, we're right near the end. It's the final stretch of election season. If you're in Pinellas County, good for you. You have a whole bunch of libertarians that you can vote for. Suggest that you vote for all the libertarians that you have on the ticket. How many candidates you have on the ballot in Pinellas?
There's a total of 5. If you live in the city of Seminole, you will have 5 libertarians on your ballot, although one of them is in a nonpartisan race and will not be noted as a libertarian.
Yeah. He can't announce himself as one anyway. He has to put all of his stuff out as nonpartisan. Right? That's the rules.
Yeah,
right.
that's the rules.
He can say he is a registered libertarian, and he is allowed to say that. He's just not allowed to
say that?
No?
They can't give any inclination into what party they're registered in.
Oh. Okay.
They can't even go to their own party's meetings unless all candidates are invited.
It's the rules.
Yeah.
It's the rules.
That's my misunderstanding, then.
So now, Danielle, let me ask you a question. Is that rule a county by county specific rule?
Although I have not without that rule.
And you've seen that rule in Pinellas?
Well, I haven't been involved in a lot of the nonpartisan races. Although, we talked to some of them on the radio last year that said, I can't even go to my own party's meeting because all the candidates aren't invited. So yeah, I have seen it in Pinellas.
But that was with the judges, though, wasn't it?
No, that wasn't only with the judges. That was in a couple of the city council races.
Okay.
When we called them, they said, well, I can come on, but I'm really limited on what I can say because it's an case. Are you sure you're not going to say anything about party affiliation? Because I'm not allowed to. I can't even go to like the Republican Women's Club or the Democrat, this club, because if all the candidates aren't invited, I'm not allowed to go.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So that's what I was told by the candidates in 12.
But in some places you have 5. In the entire county, you have at least 2, right? There's at least 2 in the entire county. In
Yes.
some places, there's 3.
Well,
Some
there's
places
always-
there's 4,
there's-
and some places there's 5.
There's 2 in the entire state.
Yeah, there's going to be 2 no matter where you are in Pinellas because they're statewide. The governor and the attorney general.
Wiley and Wolsifer.
Wiley and Wolsifer. There's also Lucas Overby if you're in CD 13, which does not cover all of Pinellas County, but the vast majority of it.
Yeah, it covers a lot of Pinellas.
You have Tony Casso, who's District 20 state
And that's
Senate.
North Florida.
Yeah,
Or North Pinellas.
Basically, Olmerton Road North in Pinellas County is District 20. And then, we have in
Which we can say. We can say.
We can say
They can't stop us from saying
Yeah.
it. So, Joe Haynes, Libertarian, and we'll have him on next week to talk about his campaign and what's going on out there. Really nice for Joe. I like when we have candidates that are running for the local offices like that. It really does. The percentage that you need to win or the number of votes you need to be able to win is is select just because the area is smaller.
Right.
So it's easier to be able to get out. And so I really hope that Joe is able to pull off a victory. Oh, all of them are able to pull off a victory, but Joe
will be on next week.
Joe will be on next week. We'll talk to Joe. So that's going on around Pinellas County and around the state of Florida. And the good news is, like, if you see, where all the polls are at, is that we are in what I would consider to be very much uncharted territory with a lot of the candidates. I mean, Adrian has gone anywhere from, to, in some internal polls that we know about, 18%.
Yeah, it's been kind of all over, depending on who's running the poll and their methodology and stuff. But he's been very consistently in the double digits.
Yeah. And we'll see how that, and I think those numbers are actually a lot lower than what they actually are. So we'll see what happens on election day, but I don't think that it's not like Charlie Crist or Rick Scott have done anything to endear themselves to the general public here.
Well, I mean, the debate and the third and final debate was this week. We were actually outside, and then protesting, and then Adrian actually live streamed his answers to the debate questions at the same time. And I got to say, the debate questions are actually very difficult for Adrian to answer because they're so directed at one person or another.
I mean, yeah, he does a good job, but it's the crap of the questions, I actually think. I mean, those questions are crap.
The questions were almost meant to incite a fight between the candidates, which it did every time. Listen,
Oh,
those
they
two
took
guys,
debate like you never seen it.
they took the bait every single time. The debate starts out with, well, I was more poor than you. Well, I was more poor than you. I mean, it was it's so ridiculous. Well, you're rich now. Well, you're rich now. I mean,
double dumbass on you.
So it was such a joke that, it was like, no, I came from humble beginnings. No, I did, and it was like, well, you're very rich. Well, you're very rich. And, I mean, it never got better.
I mean, these two people they argue like little kids. The moderators should be there more to give them like 5-minute timeouts and make them go in their own corners.
Like, I
than
felt
anything
like
else.
this debate had more commercials because that it's like, okay, you guys are getting out of hand. Let's go to commercial. You two sit down and think about what you're doing.
Yeah, think about what you said and see if we can come back and be better at the next one.
It was like two people fighting on, well, you were the worst governor in the state of Florida. Oh, no, you're the worst governor in the state of Florida. Guess what? You both were horrible governors. You both were the worst.
Yeah, you're both right. You both suck.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for those two little girls to start hitting each other with their Cabbage Patch dolls because
Yeah.
that's what it seems
Or like the little slap fights with their hands. Like,
Oh, how funny would that be if you actually saw Rick Scott and Charlie Crist in like a slap fight with one another, just going like this back and forth? I actually think Crist would take him.
I thought that was what I was listening to verbally was a little slap fight between the two of them. It was so ridiculous. It was like, well, you're a racist. Well, you're a racist. Well, your policies did this. Well, your policies did even worse. And it's like, you're rich. No, I'm rich. No, you're poor. No, I was poor. No, you were poor. And it's like, who cares? None of it had any substance, And I gotta say, a lot of it had to do with the questions, because the questions were like, Governor Scott, you signed this legislation, which is very racist. How do you say you're not a racist?
Yeah, like they're not even legitimate questions.
Yeah.
Well, now one thing that did come out in the last debate, which I did think was a little interesting though, is that the story about Pam Bondi and moving the execution date was was a part of that, and Rick Scott had to actually admit that he said that she apologized for that move.
Well, and here's the thing. Number one, the question originally was, where do you stand on the death penalty, and that there's been a back and forth about whether it's being handled in the most professional manner. How do you feel on the way it's being handled, and how do you feel about the death penalty? And it turned into, well, Pam Bondi did this and you let it, and well, Pam Bondi apologized, so that's all right. And something like capital punishment, the death penalty, is such a serious matter. For them to answer that question so flippantly and so nonchalant, just like, well, she apologized. Well, you don't take it seriously. And at no point did anyone even change the way they spoke about anything to show the gravity of the subject matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was offensive. These two guys talk about signing a warrant that kills someone, whether for good reason or bad. You know what I'm saying? You still have to take that very seriously.
Yeah. It's really a pain. And it really sucks that this is what these people get to do. And again, it's two children up there. Rick Scott, Charlie Crist, two children. Now, and Rick Scott did have to admit to that part, which I thought was very interesting that he had to admit to that part. Now, he also, when it comes to his court case that's going on about the public records thing, he also he's not willing to testify or go under oath on his own case to stop the public records search of the of the emails that were on the Gmail that they've proven now have been where the campaign was where Rick Scott and his staff were actually doing some policy making decisions there.
And he did it, of course, Pam Bondi was in the news for asking for the execution to be rescheduled because she had a campaign fundraiser. And that's what came out in the debate. Now, Rick Scott has now asked for a continuance on the court case because he had a fundraiser last night. So instead of taking these serious policies and, serious accusations that are being made against his administration and saying, you know what, we need to take care of this matter because the people of Florida deserve to have this cleared up. And if you didn't do anything wrong, you would want this cleared up immediately. You'd want to, let's get this past us and clear my name. But instead, he thought it was more important to go to a campaign fundraiser yesterday than to go to court so that the people of Florida would have answers to what the hell is going on in his administration.
Yeah, and that's the October surprise for Rick Scott, that is the October surprise for Rick Scott. However, October is not without its surprises for Charlie Crist. Now, this has not made it everywhere yet, which I'm very surprised that it hasn't. However, it did make 10 News, and it was covered by Mike Deason. Now, if you know it, let me preface this first by saying, if you know anything about Mike Deason, that guy is a upstanding journalist. So let me just say that. That guy gives it like he gets it. He is an equal opportunity attacker, and he'll go after politicians no matter what. He now right now, and the Jim Greer is now, for lack of a better term, singing like a damn canary. And he is singing. Court records are showing that Charlie Crist paid men to leave the state of Florida to hide a gay affair. And again, let me first off say this. If Charlie Crist is gay or is not gay does not matter to me one iota about him running for office. It doesn't matter. I don't care if he is or not. I would appreciate it if he would actually be truthful and admit things if that's what you are. And again, I don't care if you are or you're not. I care about your policies. But the other thing I care about is if you're using government money to hide things from the general public.
Yes.
And if you're using government money to pay men off to leave the state to hide your gay affair, the problem isn't that you're gay. The problem is that you're paying people to hide an affair. It would be the same thing as if Charlie Crist paid 2 women to leave the state to hide his affair. The difference is very minimum, and he's the candidate. And you use government money to shield this so the public did not know about it. Jim Greer is singing like a damn canary right now. Now, Jim Greer also alleges that that Charlie Crist tried to kiss him, and what else did he try to? What else did he say? What else was the other thing that was out there?
That in a drunken stupor he tried to rent some golf cart.
Yeah, and he had a drunken stupor. He tried to run people over with a golf cart. Which, I mean, look, I can't even get too mad at a person. Look, you get in a drunken stupor, you get in a golf cart. Sometimes people get run over.
And that's just a good time.
It's a Saturday night in Pasco. However, using money to hide things and using government money to do it is a violation of the public trust. There's no getting around that. And again, this has nothing to do with Charlie being gay or not being gay. It has to do with paying people off, using my tax dollars to do it, to hide something that you knew would politically damage you. And if it's the truth, it's the truth.
And just for argument's sake, let's say that he is gay, then he's hiding who he is. He's hiding an aspect about himself from everyone because he sees this as damaging. So what else would he be hiding?
Right.
Yeah. Now remember, he also signed the marriage, or he was part of. He was in support of.
He supported the marriage amendment that defined marriages between one man and one woman.
Yeah, I mean, are you self-hating at this point, Charlie?
Bachelor life.
I guess. You know what? It's just sad that this is what we have going on here. And Morgan tried to defend him, and Morgan said a couple things about it as well, which that ambulance chaser can say whatever he wants. But Charlie Crist, again, Jim Greer holds the key to get so many people in trouble. It's not even funny.
I think this is only the beginning. I think that you're going to find out a lot more about Charlie Crist as Jim Greer keeps talking, and I think he's going to continue to talk for the rest of the election. But I also think that you're going to hear things about a lot of very prominent Republicans.
Yes. Well, I think you're going to hear a lot about a lot of politicians. I think Greer's going to let it all out now. I think they might have pissed him off, which is probably the wrong person to make mad, because he's about to. I think he's going to throw everybody under the bus, and he knows where all the bodies are buried, man. For lack of a better term, he knows where all the bodies are buried, and he's going to let it out. I mean, and I don't blame him. They chucked him to the weeds and used him as the scapegoat for a lot. The turnabout's fair play, and revenge is a dish that is best served cold, and the longer it, the better it tastes at that point. Pardon the pun there, but Crist is only the first one. Dean Cannon, Herodopoulos, Rubio, Thrasher, all of them. He's got dirt on every one of these guys. Now, how much it sticks and how much it doesn't, he can take the whole dang party down. And boy, I hope he sings like a damn canary.
No, I hope he does, and I think he is going to. I think that, listen, you and your family can only be targeted so long before you say, you know what, I'm done covering up for you people. They have used his name all over every negative campaign ad for the entire election, and at some point, don't you just say, my family has to turn on TV and listen to this crap. You know what? I wasn't the only one doing some bad stuff there. Let's start talking about this. And I think that's only natural. Listen, they brought him into this situation when they started putting his name and his face all over the TV. His family, his wife, his children have to watch. You cannot turn on a channel without seeing something about Charlie and Jim Greer 3 or 4 times before a half-an-hour TV show is over.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And I think for a while they weren't talking about it, but then later on, once Chris started doing better and Rick started doing worse, they didn't have a choice. They had to come out with this stuff to try to damage Charlie, The problem here is that because of the incestuous relationship that goes on within the RPOF and the Dims, which is obvious right now, considering, Christ is on the Dim side and he's going to get in trouble from Greer, but then a whole lot of Republicans are going to get in trouble too. They didn't want to use this. The Republicans didn't want to use this against Charlie Crist because they know it damages themselves. Crist was one of them at one point. He wants to claim that he left for all these other reasons, but we have robocalls of Charlie Crist campaigning with all of these quote-unquote issues that supposedly now he has some kind of a problem with why he left the party. And then he's like, well, I wasn't really telling the truth then. I took that for political expediency. Well, if you're willing to do it then, what are you saying you're not doing it now? Right. I mean, you had no core whatsoever when you were a Republican, then why weren't you a Democrat to begin with? The only reason you left is because you hugged Obama. Who knows at this point? That you hugged Obama, Rubio upstaged you, and you left out to be able to run in that race anyway, and you cost the Dim in that race. I mean, we want to talk about splitting the vote here. Isn't that what Charlie Crist did against the Dim? And then he goes in there and actually Dim screws over the actual Dim to win the nomination, and now it's coming out of all the stuff he did when he was a Republican to damage the Dems.
Right.
Charlie Crist, in all reality, Charlie Crist is still working for the Republican Party because he's constantly damaging the Dems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just...
Amazing.
And then, and this is what always, whenever I see the people that are commenting on it was like, well, why do you stay in this race? Because these two guys stay in.
Yeah. Look, you should be asking Charlie Crist and Rick Scott to drop out.
Right. Rick Scott bilked Medicaid, and had to pay back $1.7 billion.
With a B.
With a B. He's been known to hide money in blind trusts. Then he shuttles money from big government contracts into companies within those blind trusts. He's taking your money to grow his own personal wealth. He's doing it over and over and over again. He's done it for 4 years. And then you have Charlie Crist, who you have zero confidence in where he stands on anything. I loved Adrian's comment the other night. Charlie Crist's moral compass spins faster than the fan at his feet.
That's true. No, it's absolutely true.
That's awesome.
No, it is absolutely 100% true. And Rick Scott, again, let me say it this way. There's a lot of people that will say that Rick Scott has done a good job as governor of this state. And unfortunately, anybody that would make that claim either is in on the graft or ain't paying attention. It's one of the two. You cannot honestly sit there and tell us he's done a good job as governor. He removed a sitting sheriff because that sheriff supported the Second Amendment. He instituted Common Core in this state, whether you like it or not. 100,000 or 600,000 people off the job rolls because they quit looking for work, but he has the gall to use Obama's numbers when it comes to unemployment, that somehow it's bad on a national level, but good here in the state of Florida. And he's increased spending to $77 billion, which was more than Charlie Crist did in the 4 years that he was governor. Whether you like it or not, your candidate is flawed. Rick Scott is not a conservative. He is a statist. He is a corporatist. And I'm sorry that your candidate is so bad. But you cannot sit there in good conscience and blame somebody like Adrian Wiley because your candidate sucks. In good conscience, the only vote you have is Adrian Wiley. And if you're going to go to the polls and hold your nose for somebody, you hold your nose for Adrian, so at least you can sleep at night. Because there's no way you can sleep voting for either one of these two criminal scumbags. It is not even kidding anymore. Charlie Crist is a disgusting human being. Not for any other reason than he used your tax dollars to get people out of the state to tell the truth to you about who he really is. And again, it's not judging who he really is. This has nothing to do with being gay or not being gay. It has to do with, because here's the thing. I believe in equal opportunity, and you can be a scumbag whether you're straight or gay. And it has nothing to do with you being a scumbag or not. Charlie Crist used your tax dollars to pay people to leave to hide stories about him. He should have been in jail with Jim Greer, along with Rick Scott. Because every time we bitch about one of these guys, somebody else goes, well, Rick Scott's... I will agree. You're right. Rick Scott is just as bad as Charlie Crist. You cannot sit there and vote for either one of these guys. You cannot give them your vote. They haven't earned it. Adrian has earned it. They won't let him in the debates. You know why they won't let him in the debates? Because he will smack both of them down, and he could be drunk on the stage and still win.
Yeah.
There's no getting around this. Do the right thing, folks. I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
No, I get offended by these people who say something about
sister.
Adrian being in the race when these two guys are literally criminals.
Yeah, no. They should both be in jail.
And the only one that has gone to jail is Adrian, and that's only because he's standing up for your rights.
And he did it proudly.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the Collier County Sheriff's Office right now for one of those reasons, because those guys were not very nice. But other than that, though, the Pinellas County guys were actually really cool with it.
Well, quite frankly, the Democrats all owe Nan Rich an apology, and the Republicans owe all of us an apology.
Yeah. I mean, it's disgusting. It really is. And if you're listening to this show and you're a Democrat, if you vote for Charlie Crist, I don't ever want to hear you talk about Republicans being bad ever again. I don't want to hear it because it's a bunch of lies. Because you take any of their guys, you stick a D on their name, and you're going to vote for them all of a sudden. That's what you're going to tell people. You're going to destroy your own party with this one. You've already done massive damage. There's already Democrats that are already way disillusioned right now. We know. We get the phone calls. They're voting for Wiley. You know, but keep it up, though. Stay evil. You two parties are the best recruiting tool that the Libertarian Party ever had, and I thank you for it. Just stay evil, guys. Stay evil. All right, let's take a break here. Oh. It just angers me, man. I'm telling you, man. It just angers me. All right, when we come back, more on the races that are going on around the state of Florida. You're listening to Liberty Underground.
Hi, this is Gary Johnson, and you're listening to the 1787 Radio Network.
Are the people hearing our message, and they're realizing that the libertarian philosophy is essentially what most people believe. It's the simple philosophy that government should be limited, held within its constitutional boundaries, and that other than that, should pretty much leave people alone to live their lives as they see fit, so long as they're not harming anyone else.
I'm Adrian Wiley, Libertarian candidate for governor of Florida, and I approve this message.
Facts about the red light cameras. Fact, you are guilty until proven innocent. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution grants you the presumption of innocence. Fact, red light cameras cause accidents. Accidents are up on an average of 40% at intersection with cameras. Fact, cameras punish technical foul violations. Over 80% of tickets are written when the red light is on, under 1/2 second. Join www.banthecams.org. www.banthecams.org.
If you received a ticket in Florida, contact Oropesa Law Offices, 800-774-9883 or tacklemyticket.com. Attorney Oropesa understands the stress associated with being charged with a traffic ticket. In many non-criminal ticket cases, there may be no court appearance, no points, and no traffic school. Attorney Oropesa handles criminal violations, DUI, and license suspension matters. Don't face these serious legal matters alone. Initial consultation is free. Call now and you will be advised about any potential defense, constitutional rights violations, the possibility of having your driving privileges restored, or preventing a suspension from going into effect. If you've been classified as a habitual traffic offender, have a driver's license suspension matter, or a pending DUI case, call Oropesa Law Offices now so you can be advised about your particular case. Call 1-800-774-9883 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, or visit tacklemyticket.com. Main office in Pinellas County and serving all of the Tampa Bay area. Find out more at tacklemyticket.com. Mention Liberty Underground and get 25% off.
Liberty starts with a like. Facebook.com/Liberty Underground.
You know, Going Postal offers shipping with UPS, FedEx, and DHL International, and they're a full-service post office. And Going Postal is not just your one-stop shop for shipping. They offer copying, laminating, faxing, packaging, and they even have a notary public service. Visit our friends at Going Postal at the following convenient locations: Palm Harbor at the corner of Tampa Road and County Road 1 in the Sweet Bay Plaza, St. Pete on 66th Street, just south of Tyrone Boulevard near Publix, and be sure to visit their newest location at 35595 US 19 North at Alderman Road next to Publix in Palm Harbor.
When the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you save money in 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is the quality of your independent agent and the company that stands behind them. Auto Owners Insurance has been recognized as highest in customer satisfaction with the auto insurance claims experience 5 years in a row by J.D. Power and Associates. For award information, go to jdpower.com. Call Row Insurance in Newport Richey today at 727-376-0030.
Welcome back to Liberty Underground. The website, 1787network.com, 1787network.com. You can get the copy of the show. We do 3 hours, not 1 hour. You get the last hour. If you'd like to get the other 2 hours, you can get that on the website. But please listen to this hour on Tan Talk 1340 because these people are so good enough to keep us on the air, and we really do appreciate it that he is that Lola has us on. We do appreciate it very much so, and much love to Tan Talk 1340. There's other shows on the channel, by the way, so please listen to them as well, along with our show. Hopefully you like our show. Hopefully you find some entertaining value out of it. Hopefully you find the rants a little entertaining. They don't happen all the time. Sometimes they happen a little bit more than normal, but today's one of those days where they got lifted up a little bit.
Unhinged, I think,
Yes.
would be an accurate.
And in this week's episode of Hypocrisy, I would like to present to you Exhibit A, Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, so in 2010, Rudy Giuliani was involved in the governor's race here in Florida. He came out in support of Bill McCollum and actually had said some very negative things about Rick Scott. His exact quote was, "This is not a guy who should be governor. It's as simple as that. If we nominate somebody who has had serious fraud problems, that's a mistake."
Yep, that's what he said. Now, in typical flip-flop fashion, this guy makes Charlie Crist look a little principled.
Yeah, so now Rudy Giuliani says he can't think of a better governor than Rick Scott.
Not one. You can't think of a single one.
They can't think of anybody that's doing a better job than Rick Scott.
Really?
Yeah, like, are you kidding me, guys? Serial?
Now, he was asked about this, and they said, you were a supporter of Charlie Crist in the past. And he said basically that when he was running for president, Charlie Crist had promised an endorsement several times, and the endorsement never came.
Yeah, because he went for McCain.
Yeah.
Because Chris went for McCain. Giuliani is just hurt, a little hurt on this one. Go ahead.
So wouldn't that kind of tell us exactly what's really going on here? That this is not a case of him endorsing who's really the best guy for the job, but him not scratching the back of the person who didn't scratch his.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and this is another quote from him. It was 2007. He told me he would endorse me 1, 2, 3 times. Then he failed to do that, said Giuliani of the endorsement that he lost to McCain, the Arizona senator who 2010 nomination.
So here's the thing. He may still hold on to those beliefs about Rick Scott that, all the fraud problems makes him, someone that's not worthy of holding the office. But what's more important to him is the political support and the cronyism. And since he didn't get that from Crist, he's going to sacrifice his principles and support somebody who really shouldn't be there just for political expediency and to continue the cronyism and the good old boy network.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly what it is. He's basically, his feelings were hurt that Charlie Crist endorsed John McCain. And by the way, Dems, really? This is who you guys pick as your nominee for governor? The guy who endorsed John McCain? Seriously?
Yeah, you guys totally owe Nan Rich an apology.
Yeah, really, you seriously do. You seriously do. I mean, we didn't agree with a lot of Nan Rich's positions, but we did agree that she was at least the only Democrat in the race.
She was at least a Democrat. I mean, seriously, guys. But listen, Giuliani has some hard feelings because, Crist endorsed McCain. And so now he's like, well, I have to endorse Scott, who I don't like because I think he's a criminal. But at least he'll endorse me when I tell him to. I mean, come on. Really, guys? Like, I really look at these two between watching the debates. And let me tell you, me and Greg Rowe, the lieutenant governor candidate, during these events that we were doing where Adrian was live streaming his answers to the questions, me and Greg Rowe could actually hear the debate going on. Greg had it in his ear, but, I ended up being able to hear it. So that I knew when another question was coming up, so that I could tell Adrian, stop taking audience questions and we have a debate question. Everyone who was in audience or who was watching our live stream should thank us because they didn't have to watch the actual debate. Because at one point, Greg Rowe said, "You guys are lucky you don't have to hear this stuff."
Yeah, no, it's bad.
Because it was offensive. But between watching these two guys debate in these 3 debates and then watching all the attack ads, then watching this stupid stuff where it's like, well, he endorsed McCain, so now I got to endorse this guy. And I mean, this is a joke.
They turned this thing into high school. One of the things that happened about Chris, though, is that he did take a position for political expediency. He did agree that he took the position. One of the things that Scott got Chris on the night of the debate, and I'll read this is from Mark Caputo. During one of the many sharp exchanges during Tuesday night's CNN debate, Governor Rick Scott and Democrat Charlie Crist had this exchange. He said, Scott said, "Sure, well, one things that should all concern us is Charlie said that he is taking positions for political expediency, meaning to get elected. Chris said that's not true. However, it totally is true." Now, Chris never said specifically, "I'm taking positions for political expediency," but in a December interview with the LGBT publication Watermark over his shift in gay marriage, he agreed that his position was rooted in political expedience. This is how the exchange went out. Question. When you look back at the circumstances, one could come to the conclusion that your shifts in opinion were either politically expedient. They said they were, and it was wrong. And what I'm telling you is, and I'm sorry. So now the question comes back is, can you convince us that your present views aren't once again driven by political expediency? Can you convince us that the positions that you've recently expressed are heartfelt and something we can count on in the future? Chris said, "I just did. There will be doubters, and they will have a right to that, but I ask that they have a little faith." Very funny, by the way. Again, this guy has taken so many different positions that you're right. His principles are about as steady as the fan that's under him when he's doing interviews or when he's doing debates
or interviews.
So
or anything.
So. And what I don't understand is, and this goes into some of the other organizations that backed Crist, Equality Florida being one of them, is that Equality Florida is fully on board with Rick Scott to show themselves to be nothing but stooges for the Democrat Party. And the reason is because you actually had a candidate that has much more support for your positions because they don't want the government involved in it. But you didn't go with them. You went with the guy just because he has a D next to his name. I mean, if Rick had been a Democrat and said that to you, you'd be going for Rick Scott right now and go, well, the Medicare billing thing, not really a big deal. You would do that. You would do that. Again, it shows you the hypocrisy of your organization. And your organization will take a hit for this.
Oh yeah, because there's going to be people that see the hypocrisy that are now going to say your organization has no credibility.
Yeah. You want to know how I know this, by the way? I'll tell you this. Last Saturday, we were down in Sarasota, Florida.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we went to the Pride Fest that's in Sarasota.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at the Pride Fest, you had a Democrat Party table, you had a LGBT for Charlie Crist table, and you had a Libertarian Party of Florida table. I went around about 4 or 5 different times and just kind of took a look at those tables
to see who is there.
And there was nobody there. There was nobody out front in either one of these tables in any kind of a meaningful way. The Libertarian Party of Florida table filled the entire time I was there, from start to end. The time went very, very fast because, driving Adrian over there, and then we drive out of there. We were there a long, long time. Time went very quickly. And most of the people that showed up were convinced that Adrian was the right candidate and that our party was a better party when it came to expressing their views. We're winning hearts and minds in that community, which is another reason why the Florida Press Association did not want Adrian to be involved in the debate. Because, again, we know the truth on what happened with those guys. We know where their bread is buttered. They, on their own website, they admitted it, and now they're trying to backtrack off of that. So we know what's going on right now, and the gig is up, folks. The gig is up.
Mm-hmm. No, listen, the Florida Press Association has been profiting off the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
Do I know if they profited in this election? No. But I can tell you they have.
Yeah.
And to the tune of a whole lot of money.
And if they're wrong, there is one simple way that they can do that. Release your records.
Right.
If you're not going to release your records, then you can't prove us wrong.
Well, I have all the proof I need that shows you profit from the Democrat Party.
Yeah, we have that profit's already there, or that is already there.
And that is something that Dean Ridings has admitted to, that they have profited off of the Democrat Party.
Yep.
Yeah. And make no mistake about it, one of the what this campaign more than any of them highlighted. One of the big highlights of the after effects of this campaign is that the Florida Press Association in and of itself is led by very dishonest, agenda-driven people, and the agenda is the protection of the establishment and the protection of the status quo. And they run their organization specifically for that. And if Dean Ridings thinks this thing ends in November, he is in for the shock of his life.
Really just begins.
It only begins. Look, we were mad in 2010 when you did it. That pales in comparison to 2012 or to 2014. They are going to lose members of the Florida Press Association, and we will not rest until you lose them all. There needs to be look, the Florida Press Association in and of itself, having an association where all the press get together and that these guys, hold debates and do things like that is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It's done with the integrity of what a news organization should have. And unfortunately, Dean Ridings has proven beyond any reasonable doubt zero integrity whatsoever. None at all. They need to be taken out of those positions. That organization needs to be taken apart, and there needs to be a new organization that comes up and does the that's required in order for citizens of Florida to be properly informed on the issues. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Did I say something you didn't like?
I actually don't know because I was looking at something else and looked up, and then you said agree or disagree.
Really?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Looks like somebody fell into the I'm looking something up trap. That's okay, though.
No, I'm not looking something up. I'm dealing with some campaign stuff. So
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for the show to get in the way of that. Touche. All right, so that's what's going on with this. We really do need, and that's the good thing about getting to the next level, by the way, Danielle. I'm sure you'd agree with this too. By getting to the next level that we've gotten to within this campaign, you now see a lot of different obstacles, issues, holes that need to be, problems that arise that need to be fixed for the next going. But you had to get to this next level to even see that stuff.
Yeah, sometimes, well, with third parties, like, well, there's all these roadblocks, and this is what the problem is. So once I get through those, then there's no more problems, and we keep going. But you had to get through that set of roadblocks to understand what the next set was going to look like. Mm-hmm. And so we definitely have gotten through a lot of roadblocks in this campaign. I mean, between fundraising and breaking into the media and a lot of different things, we've been able to kind of break through. And now you get to that next spot where, okay, well, there's still some roadblocks here. And one of the things is like the Florida Press Association, and things like that, where, you're being excluded from debate simply, because people are profiting from the other two parties. And so, now how to attack that issue. And it's like, for the next go around, now I know where we need to be on the offensive, where, we need to be looking at, so is always learning. But I mean, I stand behind that a libertarian is going to win in the near future. I mean, I believe that, because I think that just seeing what we're getting to now and seeing how far we're coming now, it's like, well, yeah, now I know what the next set of challenges are, and now I know how to meet those challenges. So I think that you're going to see it. I think it's going to be, I believe it'll be in Florida, because I think we're advancing, very quickly in our party with our candidates. I think the caliber of our candidates are tremendous. I think that, we're starting to build a structure that is fantastic when it comes to getting someone elected. And I'm very optimistic in what you're going to see.
I'm optimistic what you're going to see come November, but I'm also optimistic. I'm even more optimistic in what you're going to see after that. Because we need to be, you need to be able to build upon these things. And it's not like the establishment of the Democrat and Republican parties are not going to try to counter what it is that we're doing with, they're going to try to mimic some of the things that we've been saying. They're going to dissect our words. They're going to try to mimic these things, which they've done in the past. But they're not going to do those things, though. Again, you got to remember, what they mimic and what they in the conversation is a lot different to actually changing policy. And I also think that this gives us that no matter what happens at the end of this election cycle, and again, there's a possibility that Adrian could just win this thing. There's a possibility that Bill can win this thing. None of it's over yet.
Right.
And we don't know who's going to show up to the polls necessarily. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that, robocalls that from Rick Scott and Charlie Crist ain't going to work. There's a lot of people that just don't like Pam Bondi. There's a lot of people that think George Sheldon quit already, because all he did was start going after Rick Scott. So there's a lot of moving things that are going on around here that I think will end up being very telling when it comes to what the totals will be. But moving forward, I think these guys are in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, I think so. Go ahead.
Well, to some degree, we caught them slipping here in 2014. They still thought we were irrelevant. Mm-hmm. You can bet that come 2016, they're going to have a plan for the libertarians. They're going to be prepared, and they're not going to write us off as quickly as they have in the past. This cycle.
Well, they're going to go into attack mode early for one.
Right.
Yes.
Well, and listen, and I think that's only going to help us, and I think we're prepared for that. So I mean, listen, libertarians have been attacked by Republicans and Democrats for years. Mm-hmm. So they're going to come out and attack, and we're going to be like, yeah, that's a nice trick, but we're on to that. We've been dealing with that for years, and the misinformation, and you guys believe in this, and you're going to throw Graham off the cliff, and we got it. Mm-hmm. I think we're prepared for that, and no matter what, and I see this a lot, because obviously now getting this close to the election with Adrian polling so well, there is a lot of that fear mongering going on. Well, if now look, it's going to take from this person, or it's going to take for this person, and this person's going to win. I want to say this. Adrian doesn't win, and I still think he has a chance to win. If he does well, 15, 18, 20%, these guys are going to be terrified to do some of the extreme things that they've been doing. And the reason why is because they know that will put people over the edge for the next round. That if a libertarian can do this well now, what does that mean for the next election?
Yeah, because these guys have spent more money on this campaign than in any other campaigns around the country right now. This one's the number one that they've spent the most money on between Crist and Scott. Mm-hmm. And Adrian is pulling, as they're reporting it, in the teens. Even with their skewed numbers, they can only skew them so much. He's still pulling in the teens. And the reason is because, one, I think Adrian has done a very good job of going out there and spreading the message. But also, these guys are not, for as much as they do come back and retaliate, one of their biggest flaws is their own candidates.
Yeah.
Like, they knew this stuff going into it, and what did they do? Pick Charlie Crist and Rick Scott.
And I think they did that thinking, well, the Libertarian doesn't do whatever I want, because that's another third party just like all the rest, and they'll, make a lot of noise and get nothing at all, and they're realizing that's wrong. And I think the better we do, and this is to entice people to get out to the polls to vote for Adrian, your vote isn't wasted no matter who wins the election. And the reason why is because no matter who's in there, they heard your voice, and now they're scared that your voice is going to be much stronger next time.
Oh, yeah.
So when everyone starts calling, I will make sure you lose next time if you vote for this or if you sign this, they're going to start listening. And the reason they're going to start listening is because their re-election, their party staying in power, is not a sure thing anymore. But it's up to us to make sure they know that. And that is what, when I say our vote is our voice, whether we win or lose, it's a voice. Because if Adrian gets 15%, 18%, 20%, you know that all the parties are going to be redoing everything. They're going to be on their elected officials to make sure that they don't do anything to piss off people more, because their party will lose power.
Yeah. Well, not just that, though. There's another big factor at play here, and that is the mandate of a victory.
Mm-hmm.
That one of the things that's good right now is to have a weakened governor. And I know a lot of people are like, well, that's a wrong thing to have. No. That's the best thing to have. Because if you have a weakened governor, then he's much more apt to have to listen to what the people have to say. Because they didn't vote for him. So he's going to have to try to do things better. You want a weakened Rick Scott or Charlie Crist. You want that. The only way to weaken him, though, is by voting for Adrian at this point. Like, that's how you can win.
Right.
Sessions. There's the campaign season, there's the legislative season. A lot of times the legislative season is very much overlooked, and it shouldn't be, because it's very important because of the work that you did in the campaign season.
Yeah. Well, the legislative session is basically what you need to observe so you know how to vote come campaign season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's more important for you to pay attention to than campaign season. Because really that's the proof that's in the pudding.
Well, I agree with you, but let me say it a different way. If you are a person that, let's say you're a libertarian candidate that's going to run for office, or you are a candidate that's trying to disrupt the establishment, you need to watch what's going on in the legislative session, so when you go out and campaign, that you can explain to them what's going on out there, and that you can show that you not only that you know the job that you're running for, and that you know how to fix it. Because just going up there and saying that, well, these guys are bad, well, anybody can say that. Explain specifically why they're bad. It's a different story.
Yeah. I think one of the attacks that has come up on Adrian is how they're attacking his plans and saying that there's no real plan there. Like when he talks about cutting the budget by 30%, and the way they talk, that a lot of the media, they're like, it's just this amorphous cutting corruption. Well, you're going to criticize him because he's not giving you any kind of direct examples, but it's okay for Rick Scott to just go, jobs, going to create jobs, not going to tell you how, but we're going to have jobs, going to strap on my job helmet and stuff myself down into the job cannon and launch it, where jobs grow on jobbies.
What makes it even worse than that is that the media's job is supposed to go there and actually track the job that Rick Scott has done when it comes to this. And the truth is that for all the millions of dollars that the government has wasted on trying to get these jobs into the state of Florida, that it hasn't even worked. And that there's companies that will never have another job here that have gotten millions of dollars from the state of Florida.
So they've gone bankrupt.
Yeah, they've gone bankrupt. So it's even worse than that. And they're not even doing their job. But then they'll say, well, Adrian, this panacea, cutting the budget by 30%. Hey, look, if there's anything he can do, it's cut the budget by 30%, because there's something. And again, let me explain this to the media, because I know you guys aren't very, very smart. Something called a line item veto. It means take stuff out.
The whole line.
The whole line. He can line item veto stuff.
And, the thing is, when they say this, is corruption. Okay, let's break it down. $3 billion just this year went into the budget for extra corporate welfare projects. Not your normal 5 or 6 billion that is in there always. This was in addition to the 5 or 6 billion there was $3 billion added in.
So we can take that $3 billion out right off the bat.
We can take out the whole $8 billion. Let's stop giving NFL teams billions of dollars to redo their stadiums. Let's stop giving the Mahaffey Theater $500,000. Don't even ask for. Hey, you're there. Here's some money. It's these same reporters that are talking about, well, this person put in this pork project and this person put in this. And then to say, well, Adrian just has this erroneous, we're going to cut these corporate welfare out. You've been reporting on the corporate welfare because it's been so out of control. It's not made up. You just reported on it a month ago.
And as far as the corruption goes, they shouldn't be acting like the corruption is some mystery and nobody knows what it is. Actually, if you guys were doing your job, you could just link back to the reports you corruption, but you're not doing your job, which is why nobody knows what the corruption is, and it's why you don't belong there, and we have to get you out.
Exactly. Now it's 11:59. We're going to have to go at this point, right? How much time we got left?
Yeah, we got to go.
Okay. All right. The website, guys, 1787network.com. There's a lot more to talk about on this one. We'll continue this conversation next week. The website, 1787network.com. Really appreciate you guys listening today. If you'd like to, there is a donate button on 1787network.com. Go ahead and make that donation if you'd like to. And we will see you guys next week.
Don't be mistaken.